Alright, picture this. On day one back with his filthy rich biological family, our guy was so thrilled he could have licked their toilets clean 10 times over. Everyone thought he had completely lost his mind, but deep down, he had only one crystal clear thought. Finally, the perfect excuse to go completely feral. He didn't just casually kick his biological sister into a wall just because she stole their father's expensive watch and tried to frame him for it. He didn't start a casual bonfire in his bedroom just because those so-called parents locked him inside a dark, damp storage closet. And honestly, he didn't livestream himself dumpster diving across their massive luxury estate just because his parents refused to give him a single cent of pocket money. He did all this because his previous life taught him one incredibly crucial lesson. Instead of internalizing the trauma and absolutely destroying his own mental health, it is vastly superior to go totally unhinged and make everyone else completely miserable. At this very moment, his biological father, Arthur Lancaster, was absolutely fuming. It was nearly midnight and he was screaming at the top of his lungs, "Bring the watch out. Here right now, you are the only one in this house with such sneaky rat-like habits. Before you came crawling back to the Lancaster family, we never lost a single thing. That $1 million Patek Philippe was definitely stolen by you." His second sister, Khloe Lancaster, just smirked. Meanwhile, his mother, Evelyn, looked right at him with fake gentleness and cooed, "Leo, be a good boy, just bring your father's watch back. Do not worry, we will not punish you." The fake adopted son, Mason, chimed in wearing a perfectly crafted mask of fake concern. "That is right, big brother. We know you have just never seen such an expensive watch before. Just give it back to Dad. We promise we will not blame you." Leo literally jumped 3 feet into the air, shaking his head so hard his neck nearly snapped, twisting his face into a mask of pure, unadulterated madness. He turned toward the Lancaster family, encircling him, and loudly screeched, Who said I stole the watch? Who saw me do it? Step up and face me." His reaction genuinely spooked the Lancasters, causing them to take a collective step back. Arthur's face turned beet red as he pointed a shaking finger at him. "Leo, you ungrateful brat, do you think playing crazy will get you off the hook? Hand over the watch. Acting like a lunatic in front of me will not work." Leo completely ignored Arthur, keeping his face completely twisted. He howled, "Do not dodge the question. Answer me directly. Who said I stole it? Who saw me?" Khloe looked at him with sheer disgust. "Leo, who else in this house would steal Dad's watch besides you? We all already have Patek Philippe, so obviously it is you, the poor little orphan." Hearing that, our guy teleported right in front of Khloe and delivered 2 crisp, resounding slaps straight to her face. Smack, smack. "So it was you, Khloe," he violently roared. "You are the one framing me. I am asking you, with which eye did you see me steal it? When did I steal it? Which hand did I use?" Without giving her a single second to breathe, Leo grabbed Khloe by the shoulders and violently spun her around a full 360 like human helicopter. Enduring the shoulder pain, Khloe trembled and shrieked, "Leo, are you a psycho? Let me go, you absolute piece of trash." He kept shaking her, screaming, "Back, do not dodge the question. Khloe, your silence is proof you are framing me. You wicked witch." After a few more wild spins, suddenly, clink, a shiny object flew right out of Khloe's pocket and landed hard on the floor. Seeing the object, dead silence. You and I could hear a pin drop as Leo casually picks up the watch, turning right to the totally stunned Lancaster family. "Is this the stolen watch they meant?" Wow, total plot twist. The missing item just magically appeared directly inside Khloe's pocket. Arthur finally processes the disaster, his face turning an absolutely incredibly ugly shade of purple. Khloe goes completely pale, watching their absolutely priceless expressions. Leo just laughs inside. Minutes ago, this family was completely ready to crucify him. Now, the stolen goods are literally pulled right from their precious daughter's pocket and nobody has a single word to say, faking absolute utter Shock, our guy widens his eyes and holds the watch high. Wait, this is the stolen watch? Oh my gosh. Turns out Khloe is the real thief, maliciously trying to frame him. The police, he absolutely must call them. Arthur's face is now darker than a burnt pot. Call what police? The old man barks. Do they honestly think having a thief around is something to brag about? No cops, but Leo acts completely deaf to his words. He grabs his own hair, bending right over backwards, wailing in absolute fake agony. Khloe, you did not just steal the watch. You framed your own brother. Why set him up like this? Oh, the sheer betrayal. The heartbreak, he screams in agonizing pain before anyone can even process his Oscar-worthy performance. Leo bolts straight out the massive front doors of the Lancaster mansion. The second he clears those gates, he dials 911. Then he snaps a quick high-def photo of the watch, instantly posting to Twitter with a savage caption: "Is this the decay of human nature or total collapse of morality? A millionaire's $500,000 watch was just stolen by his wealthy daughter." The drama is piping hot. About 15 minutes later, a police cruiser finally pulls up outside the gates. Leo immediately sprints right over to greet them. Like they are his absolute best friends, two officers step right out, one veteran in his 40s plus a rookie in his 20s. Are you Leo? Did you make the call? The older officer asks. Leo puts on his most pathetic, tragic face and nods violently. Yes, officer, it was me. His $500,000 watch got stolen. The veteran officer simply nods and follows our guy straight into the mansion. Inside the living room, Khloe is completely nestled in Evelyn's arms, fake crying her eyes out. Lily, the eldest sister, and Mason are standing by, so gently comforting the victim. Meanwhile, Arthur sits on another sofa, dead silent, just seeing this heartwarming, totally fake family portrait makes Leo want to laugh out loud. Did they really think they could fool you and me, sweeping this under the rug? Did anyone ask the actual victim here for permission? Leo instantly unleashes a massive wail that could literally shatter glass. Father, the police are here. You do not have to be conflicted anymore. Let the actual law handle this. Justice must be served. Khloe stole your $500,000 watch. His screech echoes through the mansion, freezing the Lancaster family in their tracks when they finally see the two officers walking in behind our guy. Their jaws literally drop. Mr. Lancaster, please. Rest assured, the older officer says firmly, standing right before Arthur. We will treat this as a maximum priority case. Whoever dared to steal your watch will be brought to justice swiftly. Looking at the officers, deadly serious demeanor, Arthur opens his mouth for damage control, but Leo brutally cuts him right off. He grabs the officer's hand, smiling absolutely radiantly. Our city's police force is simply elite, top-tier efficiency. But guess what, guys? The Lancaster family already caught the culprit, caught red-handed. The cops just need to do some paperwork and haul her off for interrogation. Without hesitating, Leo drags the officer right over to a trembling Khloe. He points. She is the one. Khloe stole Arthur's watch. Leo shoves the expensive watch right in the officer's shocked face. There is the stolen item, culprit and evidence both. Right here, please drop the hammer of justice. Cuff her, bag the evidence. The cop looks at a shivering Khloe, then the watch, sighing heavily. Ah. An inside job. Khloe, absolutely terrified, clings to Evelyn and shrieks. I am no thief, it was just a prank. Mom, tell him it was a prank. Before Evelyn can even spin a lie, Leo shoves the watch closer to Khloe's pale face and yells, you are not just a thief, you're a toxic mastermind. Trying to frame me, Arthur finally explodes, totally unable to take it anymore. He forces a painfully awkward smile at the cops. Officers, this is a massive misunderstanding here. The kids were just pulling a silly prank. I am so sorry for wasting your time. Evelyn chimes in, hugging Khloe tight. Exactly, Leo, it was a joke. Stop being petty. Lily and Mason immediately join the chorus, just a harmless joke. Seeing this toxic united family front, Leo dramatically clutches his chest, throws himself onto the living room floor, and literally starts barrel rolling. This world is too cruel. I don't want to live on this planet, he wails out. I, Leo, grew up in an orphanage. You guys always look down on me. Now Khloe frames me, and you turn a blind eye. His heart is supposedly shattered into a million pieces. Life has no meaning, rolling right over to the veteran officer's boots. Leo looks up with fake tear-filled eyes. Officer, please. Just arrest me, take me away. This mansion is way too cold. I want to go. Jail has to be warmer than this Lancaster family. The older officer looks down at him, sighs heavily, and glares at Arthur. Mr. Lancaster, I might be an outsider here, but I must say this. Parenting actually requires fairness. Arthur's face turns absolutely pitch black. He grits his teeth, looking at the cops. Officers, please leave. Everything is perfectly fine here. Thank you. The watch is mine. It was never actually lost, and we do not need assistance. The older officer sighs again, bends down, and pats Leo's shoulder. Kid, I know it is tough, but if the victim of the theft refuses to press charges, our hands are tied here. I am sorry. With that, he leads his rookie partner out the door. The second that door clicks shut, Arthur spins around and roars at Leo. The cops are gone. Why are you still on the floor? Who are you acting crazy for now? Get up, stop embarrassing us. But Leo calmly stands up. First, he smooths out the wrinkles on his faded school uniform. Then, he elegantly dusts off his sleeves. Watch this. Casually, Leo strolls over to the dining table, pours himself some tea, and takes a slow, very dramatic sip. Looking up, he gives the Lancaster family a chillingly sweet smile. You know, starting tonight, a rumor about the second daughter of the Lancaster family being a petty thief is going to spread across the entire city. Congrats, Khloe. You are about to be an influencer. It takes a solid 5 seconds for Khloe's brain to process his words. He is going to ruin me socially. Her face loses all color. Pure panic floods her eyes. Arthur erupts. Leo. All right, watch this. The old man completely loses it. You ungrateful bastard. I will beat you. He grabs a heavy teacup off the table, pulling his arm back to hurl it right at our guy's head. But before Arthur can even swing, our MC moves with the speed of an absolute ninja. He snatches a sharp fruit knife off the table and completely closes the distance between them in a single bound. Arthur flinches hard, genuinely terrified the boy is going to stab him, but surprise, our MC just shoves the handle of the knife right into Arthur's hand, grips his wrist, and presses the sharp blade right against his own neck. Come on, he yells, his eyes wide and totally unblinking. A teacup is boring. Use the knife. Do it. Slit my throat. It will be a blast. Make your move, old man. His voice echoes through the room. Arthur is so terrified that his knees practically give out. He drops the knife to the floor with a huge clatter. Our MC looks at him with pure mockery. Cannot even commit to a little homicide. So boring. Are we done here? Because I am getting sleepy. Arthur's mouth just opens and closes like a fish out of water, but absolutely no words come out. He gives the stunned family a lazy yawn, turns around, and walks straight back to his room. The exact moment he steps inside, the damp, seriously suffocating smell of mold hits his nose. He frowns and flicks the light switch. It is a completely claustrophobic rectangular box of just about 50 feet. 0 windows here. The only furniture is this single bed with a damp, faded blanket that has been washed way too many times to keep any color. There is literally no space for anything else. Ever since the day he arrived at the Lancaster estate, he has been forced to live in this dark, miserable closet. It used to be a storage room for the maids. You and I know that in his past life he quietly endured it. He never wanted to be a burden. He never fought for a better room. But this new version of him, absolutely not. Whoever makes him suffer will never know peace. Damp room. Huh, he mutters. Well, nothing a little indoor campfire cannot fix. He marches out to the mansion's massive, extravagant garden, casually snaps off a bunch of rose bushes, and hauls them straight back to his room. He even puts on a dust mask for the main event. Once everything is all set, he uses those rose branches to start a cozy little fire. Right in the middle of the floor, the wet wood sizzles and thick, glorious white. Smoke starts to billow out, completely filling his room before seeping under the door and into the rest of the mansion. Now, this Lancaster mansion has 3 floors total. The family sleeps up on the second. The third floor has the fancy study, music room, and other leisure areas. The first floor is just for the kitchen, big living room, and maid quarters. As the thick white smoke invades the first floor, Nora the maid is the first to notice, absolutely panicking that the house is burning down and completely terrified of getting fired. She rushes to his room and screams, "What are you doing? You are a grown boy playing with fire. The entire house is filling up with smoke. Mr. and Mrs. Lancaster are going to choke and they will blame me. Put it out right now." She reaches out to grab a burning branch, but the exact moment her hand gets close, our guy snatches her wrist in an absolute iron grip. She glares at him frantically. "What are you doing? Let me go. I need to put this out before they notice. I am trying to help you." He just gives her a polite, deadpan smile. "This fire cannot be extinguished." Nora is utterly bewildered. "Why not? Can you not see the smoke is going to suffocate everyone?" Our MC just laughs internally. In his past life, he was such a massive pushover that even the maid felt entitled to yell at him. Never again. "All right, watch this." Leo points right to the damp, moldy corners of his walls and stares at the maid. "Nora, are you blind? I am just dehumidifying this damp room." With a little thermal energy, Nora froze completely. She totally did not expect that logic. Pure guilt flashed across her face. Obviously, she already knew the room was terribly damp. It used to be her storage closet. Keeping it dry and clean was her job. But she constantly felt overworked, and since Leo never complained, she just ignored the issue. She never expected our main character to take matters into his own hands today. Literally smoking the place out. Wait, if the family finds out he is doing this because of the dampness, they will definitely blame her. Nora panicked. Internally, she quickly backpedaled. "Young Master Leo, you really do not need a fire. Tomorrow I will bring some moisture absorbers. I will even ask Mr. Lancaster to buy a dehumidifier. Please, just put the fire out for tonight. Just endure it for one more single night. I swear I will fix it." Leo chuckled darkly. "Oh, so you actually know how to fix a damp room, Nora. Then why have I lived here for 2 years while you did absolutely nothing? Is this really your standard of work?" Meanwhile, up in the fancy master bedroom on the second floor, Arthur and Evelyn had just put on their silk pajamas, getting ready for bed. Suddenly, thick smoke wafted right into their room, sparking a violent, nasty coughing fit. They stumbled out into the hallway, only to find the whole corridor completely swallowed in dense white fog. "What on earth is going on here?" Arthur bellowed. Between loud coughs, "How is Nora doing her job? Where is this smoke from?" Before he could march downstairs to fire the maid, Lily, Khloe, and Mason suddenly stumbled out of their rooms too. Their eyes were completely red and watering. The angry family gathered in the hazy hallway, absolutely confused and totally furious. As one, they marched right down to the first floor to hunt Nora down, but the smoke down there was way worse, stinging their eyes. Arthur tried maintaining his strict boss posture and roared, "Nora, get out here right now and explain this. Are you trying to burn my house down? Are you tired of working?" Evelyn, playing the usual peacemaker, coughed. "Arthur, let us just ask what happened before jumping to crazy conclusions." Lily and the others immediately piled on. "Nora is getting so lazy. If she worked at my company, she would be fired." Instantly, hearing that massive commotion, Nora abandoned Leo and sprinted to the entryway, but hearing the family throwing brutal comments as she arrived, she felt incredibly wronged. Actual tears welled up in her eyes, seeing her cry. Arthur only got even madder. "You have the nerve to cry. Look at this smoke. If we suffer smoke inhalation, can you take responsibility?" Nora sobbed loudly, her voice trembling. "Sir, the smoke is not my fault. It is all young Master Leo. It has nothing to do with me." Arthur froze. "Leo, what is he doing now?" Is he not done causing absolute trouble today? First, he frames Khloe as a thief. Now he wants to smoke us out. Leo, get out here right now and explain. Yourself or we are done. Stick with me here. Back in his room, Leo heard Arthur screaming loud and clear along with Nora snitching, but Leo, he just kept casually tossing more damp branches into the roaring fire, totally unbothered. Actually, deciding the smoke was not thick enough, he tossed in a few extra leafy ones for maximum dramatic effect. Do not like the smoke, just inhale more, you will adapt. Total immunity. After getting zero response, Arthur felt his absolute authority was being mocked. He glared at Nora. Take me to Leo right now. Let's see what he is doing. Nora nervously led the way to Leo's room, followed closely by the coughing, red-eyed Lancaster family. When they reached his doorway, they all stopped dead in their tracks, and there was Leo, wearing a dust mask happily tending a roaring campfire right in the middle of his tiny room. Thick white smoke billowed constantly from the pile. Arthur shook with absolute rage, pointing a finger at him. Leo, you ungrateful wretch, what are you doing? We let the watch incident slide, and now you want to gas us in our own home. What do you want from the back? Khloe muttered that nobody let it slide. Evelyn frowned deeply. Leo, I always thought you were a sensible boy. Why are you acting like a delinquent today, first calling the cops on your sister, and now lighting fires? Indoors, can you just be a little more mature? Leo rolled his eyes under the mask. This woman, a total manipulator. In his past life, Leo was weak and docile, because she constantly weaponized the word sensible against him, using guilt to trick him into never standing up for himself. Lily crossed her arms. Exactly. Leo, do you lack basic common sense? You don't live here alone. You can't be so selfish. Then came Mason, stepping up to play the angelic sibling, big brother. Definitely did not do it on purpose. He probably didn't realize the fire would make this much smoke and choke us. Now that he knows, he won't let us suffer. You will put it out right now, won't you, big brother? Arthur heard this and practically blew a gasket. Of course he knew. Look at the guy, he is literally wearing a mask. Leo, put that out immediately or you are dead meat. Despite all their screaming, guilt-tripping, and fake empathy, Leo didn't even flinch. He waited for them to finish their little chorus, then slowly tossed another branch into the flames. Yeah, putting it out is not going to happen, Leo said. Casually watching him fuel the fire, Arthur's eye twitched violently. He remembered Leo putting a knife to his throat earlier and didn't dare step forward to physically stop him. He just stood by the door and yelled, why can't you put it out? Look at us, we are suffocating. Leo poked the fire with a stick, not even looking up. Obviously, I can't put it out. This room is so damp. It's practically a swamp. I'm just doing a little DIY climate control. What is wrong with drying the place out? Leo finally looked right up at their pathetic figures standing in luxury pajamas, eyes red, coughing into their hands. He gave them a cheerful smile. Do not worry, guys, you'll get used to it. Once you adapt to the carbon monoxide, it's really not that bad. Arthur was absolutely dumbfounded. You are acting crazy again. There isn't a single damp bedroom in the Lancaster mansion. Hearing that, Leo instantly sprang up, lunged right at Arthur, grabbed his arm and dragged him right into the room. Before Arthur could react, Leo slammed his pristine manicured hand flat against the wall. What the hell are you doing? Arthur started, trying to yank his hand away, but he suddenly froze. The wall beneath his palm was freezing cold and undeniably wet. Well, Leo demanded loudly, is it damp? Is it wet? Pretty freaking damp, isn't it? Arthur looked down at his hand. The wall was covered in suspicious green mold spots, and there were literal water droplets near the baseboard. He looked around the room, his pupils dilating in shock. This 4x5 footbox had mold everywhere. Zero windows, a single bed. The blanket basically looked and felt exactly like a wet mop. Arthur touched it, completely soaked. His rage suddenly shifted. Leo, why on earth are you living in this damp closet? Is the Lancaster family broke or something? Do we lack houses? Why is my own son living in this claustrophobic, unventilated swamp? right at. That moment, Evelyn and Lily squeezed through the doorway. Leo just sneered at them. Perfect timing, honestly. Time to give everyone a little sensory experience. He grabbed Evelyn with one hand, Lily with the other, yanking them both forward and slamming their bare hands right against that moldy wall. They opened their mouths to scream. But that freezing, slimy sensation on their palms shut them up instantly. Staring at those gross green spots, they violently snatched their hands back, frantically wiping them on their ridiculously expensive pajamas like they had just touched literal toxic waste. Seeing their reactions, Leo laughed coldly to himself. You guys can't even handle touching it for 3 seconds. Try living here for 2 years. Well, Leo shouted, is it damp? My room is a literal biohazard zone. What is wrong with burning a little fire to dry it out? Are you guys being dramatic? Whoever thinks I shouldn't burn this fire is more than welcome to sleep in this bed tonight. Let's see who actually survives. Arthur looked at Leo's totally unhinged, defiant posture, trembling with rage, but this time, that anger wasn't aimed at his son, Nora. Arthur bellowed, get in here and explain this right now. Why is Leo living in a damp storage room? Nora, hearing that terrifying roar, practically squeezed through the door, looking absolutely miserable. Mr. Lancaster, you really can't blame me for this. I was just following orders from you and the madam. Arthur's eyes went wide. When did I ever tell you to throw Leo in this dump? Nora, you have got some nerve trying to push the blame onto us. Evelyn frowned too, her voice soft but incredibly sharp. Nora, I always thought you were an honest worker. Why are you shifting the blame? I have trusted you for years. Nora broke down, crying and screaming in panic. Sir, madam, you cannot say that. 2 years ago, when young Master Leo arrived, I asked you both. At that time, the 3rd floor had just been renovated, and there were 0 empty rooms left. The 2nd floor was full of your bedrooms. So madam specifically told me to just clean out a room on the 1st floor for him. Evelyn's face instantly went completely stiff with embarrassment, but she quickly tried defending herself. Nora, let us get the facts straight right now. I told you to clean a room on the 1st floor. I did not tell you to put him in some moldy storage closet. Nora just collapsed onto the floor, sobbing uncontrollably now. Madam, what other room was even there on the 1st floor? This was literally the only empty space left. Leo was getting really bored of their corporate blame game, since they had the energy to argue. The smoke clearly wasn't thick enough. He grabbed a fresh handful of damp roses and casually dropped them right onto the fire. Arthur saw this, his eye twitching. Why are you adding more fuel? Look at the smoke. Do you want to kill us? Put it out. Evelyn frowned at him. Leo, I know you are not a selfish boy. Look, the fire is choking the entire family. You wouldn't only think of yourself, right? Be a good boy and put it out. Leo held a burning branch, looking at them with these wide, totally innocent eyes. Put it out. You guys literally just felt how wet this room is. If I don't dry it out, how can I sleep? You guys aren't selfish. Watch Leo work here. It is just a little smoke. Coughing builds character, right? They only had to smell it for a bit, but Leo had to sleep in this absolute swamp. They would not force him to sleep in mold to save themselves. Some coughing, right? Evelyn was left totally speechless by Leo's flawless Uno reverse card. Arthur just glared at her. He knew if he failed to solve Leo's housing crisis today, the fire was staying lit. Fine, Arthur snapped, put it out. We will give you a new, big, clean room. No more burning indoor fires, understood? Evelyn opened her mouth to object, but one single, terrifying look at Arthur quickly made her swallow those words. Leo faked complete shock. No way, you guys are busy. He could not possibly trouble them. He was a big boy, solving his own problems. He would just keep the bonfire burning. No need to inconvenience anyone here. Saying that, Leo casually tossed 3 more branches into the flames. This time, not only did Arthur's eye twitch, but his entire facial structure violently spasmed. No, it is not a trouble at all. He dared anyone to say it was a trouble. Arthur then angrily shot a lethal glare at Evelyn and Lily. Evelyn completely froze, forcing a plastic smile. Of course it is not a trouble, it is an easy fix. Lily, who was totally silent after seeing the windowless mold box Leo lived in, just slowly and quietly nodded, even though she hated him as the sudden interloper brother. Lily was not cruel enough to think anyone should live inside a damp closet. Plus, the huge Lancaster estate definitely had enough spare rooms. Arthur nodded in pure satisfaction and turned back to Leo. See, everyone agrees. Now please put the fire out. Look at all the smoke, it is getting ridiculous. Leo put on a shy, conflicted face. Well, if it is truly not a bother, rejecting your kindness would just be incredibly rude. He hated making them sad. Arthur pointed frantically at the raging fire. Yes, we would be very sad. Now extinguish it. Leo just blinked, holding another wooden branch. Extinguish it. Why, they all completely froze. Arthur's face instantly turned purple. Leo, please. Do not push your luck. We agreed to change rooms. Why keep burning things? Are you playing games here? Leo ignored his tantrum, tilting his head in pure confusion. Sure, you agreed to change my room, but what does that have to do with putting the fire out? He still had to sleep in this room tonight, right? So obviously the fire stays lit. You and I can imagine Arthur's miserable face. Looked like he was about to suffer a stroke. Are you saying that until you literally move into the new room, you will keep this fire burning? Das Leo replied, this place is a swamp. If you stop me from drying it, you can sleep in it yourself. Leo boldly rolled his eyes. Arthur was completely losing his mind. Do you think I am lying? Arthur yelled. I said we will change it. You have lived here for 2 years. Can you not endure just 2 more days? I cannot even endure 1 more hour, Leo sharply retorted. If you can, then you sleep here. He pointed the burning branch straight at the green wall mold. Look at this. Is this a science experiment or a bedroom? How do you expect anyone to survive without a fire? Arthur stared at Leo's completely unhinged demeanor. Remembering the past knife incident, pure panic started bubbling inside Arthur's chest. Taking a deep breath, he unleashed his absolute wrath onto Evelyn. Get him a big, bright, clean room immediately. Do you not see this mess? Your precious son will not put the fire out until he moves. Do you want us choke on smoke all night? Evelyn looked seriously stressed out. But all the rooms in this massive mansion are taken. Stick with me, this gets ridiculous. The third studio, Lily's office, Khloe's art studio, and Mason's private study room. And the second floor, just bedrooms. The first floor only has this cramped storage room. Where am I finding a big room now? Arthur actually stopped and pondered. For a second, wait, Mason's third-floor study room has a spare bed in it. For when he gets tired, right, let's just convert Mason's little study space into our MC's bedroom for now. Evelyn was absolutely shocked. That's not right. Where will Mason do his precious homework? His grades are too good. We cannot disrupt his studies. Meanwhile, Khloe and Mason were standing right outside the door. They heard Arthur's decree. Mason instantly lowered his head, looking totally heartbroken. But a purely toxic glare flashed in his eyes. Khloe, meanwhile, totally shrieked from the hallway. I disagree. Mason is a top student. Why should his education be sacrificed for Leo? Arthur snapped back. It's just a room. One says no. The other complains. Have you inhaled too much smoke? Do you want to be human smoked salmon? Khloe, if you hate it, give up your art studio. For his bedroom, Khloe instantly backed down. Where would I paint? My studio is full of valuable art. If he takes it, where do my paintings go? Then shut your mouth, Arthur roared. Whoever else objects can give up their precious hobby room on the third floor. Dead silence hit the hallway. Absolutely nobody dared to say a word. After a dramatic pause, Mason looked up, tear-filled. Red eyes. Dad, it's fine. Let my big brother have the study. My education isn't as important as his sleep. If he sleeps well, I am totally happy to give it up. Arthur nodded, about to praise Mason for being such a mature, angelic son, but Leo violently cut him off. Spare me the soap opera, Mason. Are you seriously playing the martyr right now? You're the Adopted son, yet you get a bedroom and a private study. Meanwhile, either biological son didn't even get a bedroom with a window, you giving up. Your extra study so I can sleep is some massive sacrifice. Is the Lancaster family abusing you or something? Arthur's words of absolute praise. Choked in his throat, a seriously complicated look flashed across his eyes. Outside the door, Mason just froze, real panic setting in. He couldn't comprehend what was happening at all. You and I know the old Leo wouldn't dare. Khloe rushed to defend her favorite fake brother. Leo, you ungrateful jerk, Mason is kind enough to give you his room. Instead of thanking him, you mock him. Mason played the victim absolutely flawlessly. Khloe, please stop. I am voluntarily giving it up. I don't need his gratitude, but our MC couldn't care less about their little performance. Leo picked up the remaining wet rose branches and just dumped them straight onto the fire. The flames roared higher. The thick smoke became thicker than ever. Leo sighed loudly. Well, looks like I'm stuck in this room tonight. Better dry it out thoroughly. Everyone screamed in absolute terror and scrambled out of the room, totally terrified of suffocating. Arthur glared fiercely at his spoiled family. This is your fault. He covered his mouth, coughed violently, and yelled right at Khloe. Gratitude for what? I own every room here. I decide who sleeps where. Who does Leo need to thank? He doesn't even need to thank me. Arthur then turns to Mason. Are you really that upset about losing your study? Mason frantically shakes his head. No, Dad, not at all. Arthur just ignores him. Turning straight to the maid. Nora, tonight you are clearing out Mason's study on the third floor. It's becoming Leo's new bedroom. Immediately, Nora finally, snapping out of her daze, nods vigorously and literally sprints upstairs to start cleaning. Arthur watches her go, then lets out this massive sigh of relief and looks at our guy. Leo, your housing crisis is solved. You'll have a new room soon. Can you please put that fire out now? Leo looks at him then down at the flames and sighs super dramatically. All right, fine, since you guys went through all this trouble to accommodate me, I'd be a total jerk to refuse. Guess I'll just tolerate the third floor. Arthur's eye twitches so hard he practically gives himself a migraine, but seeing that the flames are finally getting put out, he exhales deeply. Leo stands up, eyeing his indoor campfire with deep, fake melancholic regret. Oh, my beautiful fire, you worked so incredibly hard. But I got a new room now, so I must say goodbye. Farewell, my fiery friend. Saying that, Leo grabs a glass of water and splashes it over the flames. Seeing the indoor bonfire die out, Arthur finally feels safe. All right, if there's nothing else, go to sleep. Nora will have your room ready soon. Get some rest. Nora works with the speed of a caffeinated cheetah. Half an hour later, Leo moves into his new bedroom up on the third floor. It's massive, about 300 square feet, packing a desk, a sofa, and a giant bed. Compared to his old room, his actual belongings look pathetically sparse. Just a blanket, a few random books, and 2 sets of heavily faded old-school uniforms. Overall, Leo is pretty satisfied. He has accomplished 2 huge victories today, and the guy is totally exhausted. He throws himself onto the new mattress and instantly passes out. The next morning, Leo wakes up, looks down at his faded old uniforms, and realizes he desperately needs new clothes. Only one problem: Leo is broke like dirt poor. You and I know this trope. In his past life, returning to the Lancasters, Evelyn claimed the wealthy family would provide all his food and transport needs. And since he didn't need to socialize, he apparently didn't need an allowance. Meanwhile, Lily and Khloe got $10,000 a month. Even the fake son, Mason, got $5,000. Clearly, our guy needs a serious side hustle. When Leo goes downstairs for breakfast, only Evelyn, Khloe, and Mason are actually home, probably because of yesterday's absolute chaos. All 3 of them aggressively ignore him, giving him the cold, silent treatment to show dominance. Leo literally could not care less. After totally inhaling his breakfast, he grabs a massive woven sack from the utility room, makes sure his phone is fully charged, and marches right out the front door. Time to get this bread, Leo yells. To nobody in particular, the three terrible family members look at each other in total confusion. What kind of episode is he having this early in the morning? Meanwhile, Leo carries his huge sack out of the mansion and surveys the crazy luxury villa district. There are about 50 massive estates here, with a giant communal dumpster placed every 5 houses, making 10 dumpsters total. Now watch this. If Leo does a lap, he can raid all of them. Time for action. He pulls out his phone, logs into TikTok Douyin, and starts a live stream right there, with the title Billionaire Air Dumpster Dives in luxury Beverly Hills style estate. Then, huge sack in hand, Leo's epic trash hunting journey finally begins, thanks to that genius clickbait title and the new streamer algorithm boost. Alright, his stream viewer count rapidly crossed 100. People called it total clickbait. A billionaire heir, yeah, sure. If he is seriously a rich kid, why is he digging through the trash? The viewers barely cared. They just wanted to see if wealthy people tossed out good stuff. Reading the chat, our MC adjusted his gloves and dove into the very first bin. He welcomed the stream, claiming to be a certified and absolutely genuine billionaire heir. He told them to literally Google Arthur Lancaster, the richest man in the entire city, check if he has a son named Leo, spot the family resemblance. As for why our guy is digging through the garbage, well, quite a long story. He got kidnapped by traffickers at age 2, basically growing up inside a random rundown orphanage. The Lancaster family only brought him back 2 years ago, but because he has a completely working-class background, they refuse him an allowance. He is a completely broke high school senior, so the kid has to hustle. Suddenly, his eyes gleamed. Hey, chat. Look at this. Leo pulled out a watch and held it straight up to the camera lens, grinning like an absolute maniac. Check this out. A Dior watch, not broken at all, just lightly used. Not bad at all. The entire live chat exploded. Bro, no way. They just checked the official website. That thing is worth like $1,500, even in that exact condition. He could flip it for $400 easily. Streamer, are you selling it? I will pay $500 right now. Leo kept digging with one hand while holding up his phone. Selling it, obviously, but keep the 500, 300, and it is yours. First person to DM him gets it. Just add his Venmo, send the cash and address, and he will ship it today. Instantly, digital gifts and crying faces completely flooded the screen. Wow. The streamer is too nice, giving out fan discounts. Next time I claim it. First, the donations started heavily rolling in to support his epic trash treasure hunt. Leo was practically doing a massive happy dance in his head, but the rest of that first dumpster was a total bust. Nothing but empty champagne bottles and literal trash. He quickly moved to dumpster 2. A few minutes later, he just burst out laughing. Haha, jackpot, baby, look what we have here. He proudly held up a gleaming golden object, a pure gold necklace. This looks exactly like the new collection from Tiffany. Retails for like $800. I want it. Dibs, take my money, the chat screamed. Sold for $150 to the first DM. But do not pay him yet. He needs to get it authenticated first to make sure it is real gold before shipping it out. The streamer is an absolute legend, so totally honest, thanks to all the crazy interaction and the sheer absurdity of his stream. The viewer count heavily skyrocketed. The algorithm caught on fast, and soon trending tags like billionaire, dumpster diving, kidnapped air hustles, and rich kid trash treasure were climbing the charts. But here is the thing. While our MC had the time of his life digging through pure garbage, the massive Lancaster mansion was in a state of absolute panic. Arthur Lancaster was at his corporate office, casually reviewing documents when his personal phone rang. It was Richard Sterling, a bitter rival CEO. The two absolutely hated each other's guts and took every single opportunity to throw shade. Arthur really wanted to decline, but Richard kept wildly spamming him until he finally picked up. Ah, Arthur, my good man, I'm literally dying. Richard's booming laugh blasted right through the speaker. Your son is all over the trending page. Billionaire heir digs through the trash. I am literally crying. This is peak comedy. Arthur's heart stopped cold. He he immediately opened his laptop and searched the tags. Sure enough, high-resolution screenshots of our MC. Half buried inside a nasty dumpster totally flooded his screen. His face morphed through 5. We just watched Arthur hit every grief stage in 3 seconds. Keys grabbed, speeding home. Bursting through those front doors, Arthur finds Evelyn, Khloe, and Mason sitting around. In the living room, sipping tea and laughing. That absolutely picture perfect. Cozy family vibe just makes his blood boil even hotter. Where is Leo? He roars. Startling everyone so badly, they literally spill their tea. Why is nobody watching? Evelyn frowns, deeply annoyed. Have you lost your mind? Why are you screaming? The second you walk in, Arthur lets out a perfectly hysterical, enraged laugh. I haven't asked you that yet. Where is he? Do you have any clue what he is doing? Evelyn rolls her eyes. He is almost 18. Do I need to slap an air tag on him? He went out this morning claiming he was getting that bread. I just figured he got some part-time job sweeping floors or moving heavy boxes. Arthur's face turns completely, violently purple. Moving boxes? Yeah, you wish. He is totally humiliating us, the entire Lancaster family is now the biggest laughingstock in the city. He hurls his phone onto the sofa. Look at exactly what your precious son is doing right now. Evelyn grabs the phone and gasps. Right there on a live feed is Leo, elbow deep inside a trash dumpster with bold text. Reading billionaire's air dumpster dives. Khloe peeks over his shoulder and her jaw drops. Mason completely fakes looking horrified, but a very gleeful smirk tugs right at the corner of his mouth. What even is this? Evelyn panics, desperately trying to save face. He literally chose digging through garbage for cash. How was I ever supposed to know? How do you even manage this house? Arthur screams, meanwhile staying completely and totally oblivious to that total nuclear meltdown back home. Leo is happily engaging his fans. He had just reached the final dumpster. The previous ones dropped a luxury watch, a necklace, some designer toys, fresh Dior sneakers, and luxury perfume. His loyal chat bought up everything, banking him a clean $1,000. He enthusiastically dives right into the final bin, hoping for one grand finale. Suddenly, his eyes lock straight onto it. Premium, absolutely pristine orange box. Chat, look, we found in Hermes' box, he yells. Pulling the treasure out, he pops it open. Holy crap, it is 5 brand new, perfect red lipsticks. The chat goes feral. Hermes' new collection, that is $300. Streamer, please, I really need them. You guys know the drill, he laughs. First DM gets it for $50. Man, I am way too cheap. Streamer, you are an angel. He is buzzing with pure joy. He is just about to pack up his loot sack when a screeching voice shatters the peace. Leo, you absolute total disgrace. He looks up. Evelyn is furiously sprinting toward him, her expensive designer heels clicking frantically against the concrete pavement. Her perfectly styled hair is a complete mess. She has lost every bit of that high society elegance. You are completely humiliating the Lancaster family. Get your butt home right now. Your father is extremely furious. Leo casually ignores her, just keeping on packing his beautiful trash treasures. Evelyn, seeing him completely ignore her, marches right up and tries grabbing his arm. He swats her hand away, flashing a brilliant smile at the camera. Hey chat, I am streaming right now. Want me to introduce you guys? Evelyn recoils, looking just like she just got burned, stumbling backward in pure sheer terror of being caught live on the stream. The live chat instantly goes wild. Who is that Karen? Why is she yelling at our favorite streamer? Keep digging, bro. Just ignore her. Do not turn off the stream. This drama is 10 out of 10. Leo smiles warmly. Do not worry, guys, until I clear every dumpster in this zip code, the stream stays on. Let us see what else is hiding in this last bin. He dives right back to digging, completely ignoring Evelyn stood 10 feet back, pinching her nose in absolute disgust. Way too terrified to get near his camera. Defeated, she whipped out her phone and frantically called Arthur for backup. Minutes later, Arthur, Lily, Khloe, and Mason came sprinting down the street, seeing our MC still knee-deep in garbage. Arthur almost charged forward to tackle him, but Evelyn violently yanked him back. He is live streaming, she hissed. If you go over there, your face will be all over the internet. Arthur froze dead in his tracks, forced to stand on the sidewalk and glare at Leo with murderous intent. He kept digging, but the bin was mostly empty. Just as he was about to call it quits, the chat started spamming. Streamer, that little black pouch, grab it. Yeah, that looks like Gucci, check it. Leo followed their instructions, picking up a tiny, completely unremarkable black pouch about the size of his palm. He held it up. This thing, a classic Gucci coin purse. They do not even make these anymore. Worth like $200 secondhand. Dibs, I will pay $100 right now. Leo was totally bewildered that a tiny square was worth so much, but hey, money is money. Sold for $100, the chat rained digital gifts on him. He looked at the empty dumpster and smiled brightly. All right, chat, that's all the dumpsters cleared out. We are officially done for today. If you didn't snag anything, don't sweat it. We will go trash hunting again. Tomorrow, no, do not leave. Tomorrow for sure. Leo happily patted his massive sack of loot. Arthur, watching his triumphant smile, looked like he was about to burst. A blood vessel. He tried to lunge forward again, but Evelyn held him back. Pointing at the neighboring mansions, several nosy neighbors were already peeking out of their windows, fully enjoying the free reality TV show. Arthur's face turned pitch black. He pointed a trembling finger at our MC. Leo, you ungrateful bastard, get inside the house right now. We are going to have a serious talk. Evelyn looked at him with pure disgust. Khloe stuck her tongue out, mocking him. Mason looked concerned, but his eyes gleamed with malice. But you and I know Leo did not care about their dramatic face-changing circus act. He stretched his back. Man, dumpster diving is quite the workout. He hoisted that massive sack of trash treasures right over his shoulder, whistling a cheerful little tune as he strolled past them toward the mansion. Once inside, he ignored their death glares, carrying his sack straight up to the third floor and locked his loot inside his room. Stick with me, this was his hard-earned inventory for his fans. He could not let these psychos ruin it. Arthur, absolutely furious that Leo hadn't immediately groveled, led the entire family stampeding right into his room. Mason walked in, eyes full of bitter resentment at seeing Leo in his former study. Leo just started organizing his loot, completely ignoring their existence. Leo, you absolute embarrassment, Arthur roared. Throw that garbage out immediately. Do you have any idea how much face the Lancaster family lost today? Evelyn frowned. You are the son of a billionaire now, not some street urchin. You need to think about our reputation. Khloe pinched her nose. You're so gross, raised in an orphanage, so you just naturally gravitate toward garbage. So embarrassing. Mason played the saint. Big brother, you don't understand. The family honor is more important than anything. Just throw the trash away and apologize to mom and dad. Leo gently placed a designer shoe down, turned around and looked at them. Dumpster diving is tiring enough without. Let's dive in. Leo stares dead into Arthur's eyes. Don't you lecture me about pride or face. Out in the real world, compared to cold hard cash, face is basically worthless garbage. Without money, you literally die. Without face, you just feel little awkward. I'd rather not starve. Now Arthur is so mad he is practically vibrating. You little brat. When did the mighty Lancaster family ever let you starve or freeze? Do you lack allowance? We give you top-tier living conditions here, and you have the absolute nerve to claim money matters more than our family reputation. Before the old man can continue ranting, Leo holds up a hand. Hold up, since moving in, I have absolutely lacked both clothes and money. Otherwise, why the heck would I be digging through the garbage? Arthur's face instantly darkens. What kind of nonsense are you making up to excuse this embarrassing behavior? Leo immediately walks right over to his pathetic little closet, yanks out all his clothes, and throws them right at Arthur's feet. Look really closely. This is my entire wardrobe provided by the so-called billionaire Lancaster family. 2 faded, slightly torn school uniforms. Tell me, is this not lacking clothes? Arthur is ready to scream again, but then he looks down at the pile. He totally freezes. Literally just two worn-out uniforms, nothing else, he looks at. Leo in absolute shock. Are you kidding me? You only have two uniforms. Evelyn, is this true? How can the boy only have two outfits? Arthur rarely paid any attention to domestic matters. He honestly thought Leo just really loved wearing his school uniform. Hearing that this was his entire wardrobe, he refuses to believe it, praying his wife Evelyn would deny it. But Evelyn just looks away, looking incredibly guilty and totally awkward. Arthur glares at her, temporarily suppressing his massive rage to interrogate our MC. You're practically an adult. Don't you know how to buy your own clothes? What do you even do with your allowance? Spend it all on video games. Leo just laughs coldly. Allowance? I have literally never seen a single penny of allowance since stepping foot inside this house. Honestly, the orphanage actually treated me better. At least there we got new clothes every single season and a few bucks for snacks. Here, nothing to wear, nothing to spend. I really should have just stayed at the orphanage. Moving to the Lancaster estate was a massive downgrade. Arthur completely explodes. You dare say my house is worse than a literal orphanage? Stop lying. Every kid in this entire house gets an allowance. Even your older sisters who have jobs still get money from us. Why wouldn't you? He instantly whips around to face Evelyn. Evelyn, am I right? Tell me exactly how much allowance Leo gets every single month. Expose his ridiculous lies. Evelyn's mouth opens and closes, but absolutely zero sound comes out. Her face turns pale green, then white. Finally, she offers a super weak defense. Leo is a high school student. His food and housing are perfectly covered. What does he even need money for? Arthur looks at her in sheer disbelief, pointing a trembling finger. So you actually never gave him an allowance? Her deafening silence is all the confirmation he needed. Arthur is too stunned to speak. But you and I both know this isn't the time to fight. The priority is stopping Leo from going back to the dumpsters and ruining his precious PR. He coughs awkwardly and looks back at our MC. Leo, let's make a deal. You're picking trash because you literally have zero money, right? Starting today, I will have your mother give you a generous monthly allowance. Just promise me you will not go dumpster diving anymore, okay? Leo just waves his hand dismissively. Nah, keep your little allowance. I'm good, got my own hustle. Just today, I made $1,000 from this. He tallied the loot. You and I know that's 30 grand a month. He didn't need their fake charity. Leo loved being a totally self-made entrepreneur. Arthur's eyelid twitched aggressively. He gritted his teeth. Leo made 30 grand a month doing this? Fine. Arthur offered a personal allowance of 30 grand a month. Just stop touching the garbage. Deal. Before Leo could even answer, Evelyn loudly protested. He was in high school. He didn't need 30 grand. 1,500 a month was more than enough. Khloe immediately whined. Dad, why did Leo get 30,000? She and Lily only got 10 grand. Mason got 5. If Leo got 30, he was getting way more than them. Totally unfair. Seeing their eyes turn red with pure jealousy, Leo laughed internally. He quickly agreed with them. Yeah, exactly. So incredibly unfair. Just let him be an independent hustler. Seriously, keep the money. But Arthur glared at the girls and absolutely roared. Do not mention fairness. Khloe could she earned 30,000 a month? If so, he'd give her 30 grand too. Could she? Khloe pouted and completely shut up. Arthur then turned to Evelyn. A Lancaster child deserved $1 million a month, let alone 30 grand. She thought it too much. Fine, he would wire the cash personally. Evelyn absolutely didn't dare to argue any further, especially since it wasn't draining her own personal budget. Arthur turned back to Leo. 30 grand a month directly from him. Just stop picking trash. Yes or no? Leo let out a massive, dramatic sigh. This old man wouldn't stop forcing cash into his hands. What could he do? Honestly, getting 30 grand for nothing was easier than dumpster diving, and quite frankly, Evelyn's hurt feelings weren't his problem. Fine, he loved being self-made, but since Arthur was literally begging him to take the cash, he hated to hurt his pride. Leo accepted. Arthur's face violently spasmed, but as long as Leo stopped embarrassing him on TikTok, he ignored the attitude. the old man pulled out a sleek black card and handed it right over. 30 grand on that plastic. He promised to wire the funds every single month, but there was a catch: if Leo stayed away from dumpsters, the cash flowed, but if he was caught near a single trash can, the deal was instantly dead. Understood. Leo boldly snatched the black card. He warned Arthur to stop nagging or he'd hit the bins again. His hustle didn't come with annoying lectures, he only took it out of pure pity. Arthur was completely exasperated, but seeing Leo hold that card, he finally breathed a massive sigh of relief and ushered the family away. Once alone, Leo checked his loot and sighed, his glorious empire cut down in its prime. But hey, 30 grand month was a massive win. You and I both know his stream blew up fast. He had a solid fanbase ready. He couldn't just let the account die. He needed to pivot his whole content strategy. What should he stream next? But first, he had to fulfill his pending orders. Leo spent all afternoon packing and shipping loot, instantly cashing in his $1,000 via Venmo. Completely exhausted, he hit the bed hard. The very next morning, Leo slept in until 10 a.m. After washing up, our MC headed downstairs for some breakfast. Near the staircase, he heard this incredibly mocking, duck-like, annoying voice. Hey Mason, was this the trash picker of their family sleeping in? The early bird gets the garbage, right? Leo looked over. A chubby, short, rich kid was throwing him a nasty side eye. That was Luke. Beside him, Vince, Tom, and Sam. Some were snickering, while others completely ignored him, just continuing to chat up. Mason, our MC, frowns, dark memories flooding back. These are the sons of local businessmen who rely on Lancaster corporate contracts. They constantly kiss Mason's behind, acting like his personal little minions. Under Mason's subtle orders, they used to bully Leo relentlessly. Since returning to his family, Arthur enrolled him in the elite Sunshine Private Academy, putting him in the exact same class as Mason, claiming they could watch each other's backs. Oh, Mason watched out for him, all right. He successfully turned the entire class against Leo and ordered these goons to harass and humiliate him daily. It was textbook psychological warfare. No physical violence, just relentless cold behavior and verbal abuse that made him dread going to school. In his past life, after Khloe framed him for stealing that watch, these minions spread the rumor everywhere, cementing his reputation as a thief and plunging his life into total darkness. Thinking about this, his joy from the 30 grand fades. Mason clearly isn't happy about being humiliated by Leo over the past few days and is resorting to his old tricks. He actually invited his minions over to insult Leo in his own house. Perfect, let's watch him work. This saves him hunting them down. School doesn't start for another 5 days. Mason literally hand-delivered these idiots straight to his doorstep for target practice. But first, breakfast. Our guy needs fuel to deal with this trash. Let them act smug for a bit longer. Leo ignores the chubby kids. Taunts, walks into the kitchen, grabs a plate and just starts eating. Mason watches his silent retreat, looking super confused. This does not match the feral Leo he had witnessed over the last few days. Maybe he only acts tough with family but is still a massive coward with outsiders, Mason thinks. Luke leans in and whispers to Mason, "See, I totally roasted him and he didn't do squat." "Do not worry, bro. He is a total wimp. We can handle him easily." The others chime in. "Yeah, he is a snitch who won't even dare snitch. We will help you vent some anger today. We were going to wait until school started, but doing it in his own house is honestly way funnier." Mason's eyes flash with a sinister light as he whispers something back to them. Inside the kitchen, Leo finishes his food and has a brilliant idea. "You and I will love this." He grabs a few packets of ketchup from the fridge, slips them into his pocket, and hits go live on his phone. Instantly, his eager fans flood the chat. "Streamer, we have been waiting. Let's get that trash. Did you get enough sleep?" Well-rested streamer finds the best loot. Leo smiles at the comments. Wow, his smile is so cute. This is a dumpster diving stream, not a beauty pageant. Get In the bin, Leo sneakily places his phone in a hidden corner of the living room, angling the camera perfectly to capture that squad of losers on the sofa. Then he confidently strolls out of the kitchen. The exact moment he appears, the malicious gazes of Luke and his crew lock onto him. Sam smirks, looking like he cannot wait to start trouble. Leo ignores them, knowing they will come right to him, and right on cue as he steps toward the stairs, they make their move. Luke leads the charge, blocking his path, crossing his arms and sneering. "Hey, trash boy, I heard you have been upsetting my boss, Mason. You got a lot of nerve." Vince, Tom, and Sam quickly surround him, blocking all escape routes. "Hey, trash boy, apologize to our boss right now, and swear you will obey him from now on. Otherwise, you know what happens," Sam threatens with a nasty grin. Leo, "Do not listen to them," Mason calls out from the sofa, acting totally innocent. He actually hopes Leo refuses to apologize to teach him regret, but Leo just frowns. These insults way too weak. Let us watch him spice things up for his camera, looking at them with pure disgust, and mutters, just loud enough for them to hear. "Bunch of lap dogs barking for their master. Absolute low-class bastards." They all freeze in sheer shock. Did he seriously just curse them out? Luke turns bright red with rage and reaches right out for Leo's collar. The others raise fists, ready to throw down. Perfect. Leo cheers internally. This is all going exactly according to his master plan. Right as their hands almost make contact, Leo violently throws himself backward, rolling around the floor like a dramatic Premier League soccer player. "Ah, the pain, they are beating me. Murder, assault," he shrieks at the top of his lungs. Mid-roll, he expertly whips out hidden ketchup packets, bites them open, and smears the red sauce all over his face and the front of his white shirt. It looks like a horrific, bloody massacre. The bullies stand there completely frozen, staring at their own empty hands. "We did not touch him. Why is he on the floor? Why is there so much blood?" Mason reacts, first jumping up to play the hero. "Stop, why are you hitting him? How dare you strike my brother?" Leo side-eyes him. The kid has decent acting chops. Today Leo is taking down Mason's little minions. He keeps barrel rolling across the floor, screaming even louder. "The blood, they are beating me to death." His live stream chat absolutely explodes. Streamer is getting jumped. Who exactly are these punks? Call the cops. I thought he was a billionaire son. Who dares to beat him up inside his own house? Thanks to yesterday's massive momentum, his viewer count is massive. You and I know it is fake, but the clip hits trending pages everywhere. Upstairs, Evelyn hears the wild commotion and rushes down, seeing Leo completely covered in blood, rolling around, surrounded by 4 utterly dumbstruck teenagers. She immediately grasps the terrible optics. Leo being brutally assaulted inside the Lancaster mansion. Yeah, that is a massive slap to the family face. At the exact same time, Arthur is at his corporate office, paranoid that his son might return to dumpster diving. He was randomly checking Leo's live stream. He tunes in exactly as Leo is writhing in fake agony. Who dares beat Leo? Arthur roars in his office. Who dares touch my son? He recognizes the boys as sons of his subordinate suppliers, punks who basically feed off the Lancaster company scraps. Arthur's fury goes totally nuclear. They had the audacity to come into his house and beat his heir. He refuses to lower himself to deal with teenagers directly. He immediately calls the fathers of all 4 boys, chewing them out and ordering them to drag their asses to the Lancaster mansion immediately. Then he speeds home to check on Leo's injuries. Meanwhile, Evelyn quickly calls the family doctor, Dr. Vance, not knowing the true extent of his injuries. She does not dare move Leo, leaving him on the floor. She then drags Luke and the gang outside, ripping them a new one. Dr. Vance arrives, swiftly popping open his fancy medical kit. He gently dabs the blood on Leo's face with a gauze pad, but as soon as he touches his mouth, pause. This isn't blood. Disbelieving, he sniffs the gauze. This is literally Heinz ketchup. Dr. Vance looked down at him, totally confused. Leo just gave a cheeky grin and Whispered $10,000, make it sound fatal. He knew exactly what he was doing. Listen, in his past life, Leo learned Dr. Vance had a severely ill daughter who constantly required expensive treatments. That is exactly why he quit a prestigious hospital job to become a private doctor for the ultra-rich. He loved cash, but he kept a strong moral compass and absolutely despised bullies. He caught on. Immediately, gritting his teeth, he whispered back, $20,000 and I will diagnose you with internal bleeding. Deal, Leo whispered. The two shared a silent nod of mutual understanding. Just as they finalized their little transaction, Arthur marched right into the mansion, followed closely by the four fathers. The dads already knew their sons had messed up big time. Stepping inside, they instantly spotted their boys. Two furious dads pulled out leather belts. The other two quickly grabbed nearby wooden chairs. Each of them grabbed their respective son and completely unleashed hell. Belts cracked loudly, chairs splintered, and those four bullies screamed in genuine, agonizing pain. Arthur stood to the side, watching in absolute cold silence, feeling a massive rush of satisfaction. Meanwhile, Leo lay on the floor, getting a front row seat to the sweet smackdown. Hearing their pathetic wails was absolute music to his ears. You little punks actually thought you could get away with bullying him. Not today. After a few minutes of relentless beatings, the fathers started to feel bad, seeing their own sons totally bruised and battered. Their parental instincts kicked in and their heavy swings definitely slowed down. Some even stopped, figuring this was enough to appease Arthur. Seeing the action movie lose thrill, watch Leo completely crank up the volume. It hurts my organs, I am dying, I am fading away. Hearing his tragic screams, Arthur snapped right out of it, glaring at the dads who had stopped, terrified by Arthur's absolute wrath. Those dads immediately picked up their weapons and started wildly wailing on their sons even harder. Meanwhile, Dr. Vance, seeing Arthur stride into the living room, began his Oscar-nominated performance. Mr. Lancaster, he shouted frantically. Leo has suffered severe internal trauma. His organs are rapidly bleeding. It is completely catastrophic. The four dads outside heard this and practically turned Super Saiyan, viciously beating their kids at warp speed. Arthur completely panicked and rushed to Leo's side. Seeing the boy totally covered in blood, he grabbed the doctor. Dr. Vance, is he going to make it? Can you save him? Dr. Vance pulled Arthur aside and whispered, Mr. Lancaster, relax. Leo is perfectly fine. Arthur froze solid. He is bleeding everywhere. You just said his organs are rupturing. Dr. Vance simply gave a dry cough and explained their little transaction, clearly clarifying that the fake blood was literally just ketchup, and Leo did not have a single scratch on him. Arthur stood there, totally dumbfounded before the real anger set in. What the hell is this kid playing at? Faking a near-death experience just for fun? Is he trying to mess with me? He furiously stormed over to Leo and hissed, Leo, you little punk, what are you even doing? If you are not actually hurt, why are you putting on this entire circus act? Leo never broke character. He glared right back and whispered, so what if I am not hurt? They actually tried to hit me and verbally abused me. I just want to teach them a brutal lesson. Is that a crime? If you think I am wrong, go right out there and expose me. Go ahead, tell them. Arthur shook with anger, but we all realized Leo's logic held up perfectly. Even if those kids did not cause any physical harm, they still tried to jump his son inside his own house. You and I are watching a brutal lesson unfold. By now, the four fathers had beaten their own kids so severely they could barely even stand, unable to continue. They finally dropped their belts and stumbled toward the living room, forcing apologetic smiles at Arthur, then looked at Leo, absolutely covered in blood. Seeing his state, they actually felt somewhat justified. Their own sons looked much worse, honestly. Mr. Lancaster, we are so incredibly sorry. They practically groveled. We completely failed to discipline our kids. They committed a massive sin. Then they turned to Leo. We are truly sorry. We failed as fathers. Each dad then pulled out a premium bank card and handed it over, 4 cards, each with $20,000. Please accept this as our Formal apology, Leo sneered internally. 20 grand to settle this. In your dreams, he completely ignored them and went right back to rolling on the floor. The agony let him die. Oh, the absolute humanity. Arthur's eye twitched hard. He knew Leo was faking and felt the kid was pushing it way too far. $80,000 total for literally zero injuries. But those dads had no clue, seeing Leo reject the cash while Arthur stood silently staring at the ceiling. They panicked, thinking the payout was way too low. They shared a look, gritted their teeth, and pulled out 4 more cards. Leo, we completely understand. Here are 4 extra cards. Each has $100,000 loaded. Please cover your medical bills and recovery. Our boys caused this mess. We have to take full responsibility. If you refuse, we honestly will not sleep at night. Now, Leo had originally planned to torture them a little longer, but for 480 grand, he could be merciful. Plus, if they kept beating those kids, someone might actually die, and Leo hated doing extra paperwork. He slowly stopped his dramatic barrel rolls. His hand shot out like a viper, snatching all 8 cards and quickly shoving them straight into his pocket. Then, in a totally weak, forgiving voice, he muttered, "Uncles, you are far too kind. Just a little scuffle between kids, nothing serious. You really should not have, but since you insist, I would feel terrible refusing." Arthur watched this master class in pure extortion, and his facial muscles spasmed hard. This kid was a literal psychological terrorist. The 4 fathers were utterly bewildered. Wait, wasn't Leo just dying of internal bleeding? How did he snatch those cards so incredibly fast? Why does he look totally fine right now? Suspicion finally began to brew. They had just beaten their kids half to death and paid out nearly $500,000, slowly realizing they might have been played. Intense rage bubbled in their chests. They wanted to snatch those cards right back, but they glanced at Arthur, still staring blankly at the ceiling, offering zero objections. They hesitated. Rumor definitely had it that Leo was an unloved outcast in the Lancaster family, which was exactly why they allowed their sons to bully him in the first place. But this guy, Arthur, was clearly backing him up. Realizing Arthur was not the indifferent father rumors made him out to be, they forced some incredibly painful smiles. As long as you are okay, Leo, please use the cash to get well. We will be taking our boys home now to discipline them. Further, they thought the transaction was finally complete and they could escape. But watch this. Leo was not done playing. He suddenly clutched his chest, breaking into a violent hacking cough, completely acting like he was experiencing excruciating pain. When he pulled his hand away, his palm was completely covered in fresh blood. The fathers jumped in total shock. Wait, he was just fine. Why is he coughing up blood? Leo collapsed flat onto the floor, his eyes half closed, panting weakly. Uncles, even though it's just kids playing, your 4 noble sons beat me. Seeing how nice you are, I didn't want to fight back, but at the very least, shouldn't they apologize to me? Honestly, it's for your own good. If you don't teach them manners now, society will teach them later, and it won't be pretty. The dads were absolutely fuming. You and I know Leo beat those kids entirely senseless, yet he still demanded an apology. But seeing Arthur staring silently up at the ceiling, the fathers had to completely swallow their pride. They marched straight back outside, violently grabbed their battered sons by the collars, dragged them right into the living room, and tossed them at Leo's feet. You little brats, apologize to Leo right now. How dare you hit him? The 4 boys, heavily bruised and bleeding, couldn't even stand properly. They completely collapsed in front of him, but their eyes burned with serious defiance. Fight us one-on-one if you're a man, Luke spat. Calling our dads is a weak move. Leo was totally ecstatic. Yes, keep talking trash, you little garbage cans. The madder you get, the far sweeter the apology. Leo slowly dragged himself across the floor, groaning dramatically. Oh, the sheer agony. I'm fading. Arthur was also getting genuinely furious, even if Leo was obviously faking. These brats had actually tried to jump him, and they were still glaring at him with zero remorse. Arthur shot a truly lethal glare at the fathers. Is this the kind of trash you Raise, look at how you've educated them. The terrified dads shivered. They immediately kicked their own sons right in the ribs. Are you mute? Apologize. Do you want another beating? Luke and the others yelped loudly in pain, desperately trying to crawl away from the kicks, but they were simply too exhausted. Completely forced into submission, they gritted their teeth and slowly forced out the most agonizing, utterly humiliating smiles imaginable. Sorry, Leo, we were completely wrong. Please forgive us. Their totally forced smiles were so incredibly ugly they looked like weeping demons. Leo smiled warmly. Oh, it's okay. I forgive you guys. Just don't bully your classmates anymore, all right? Because that's not what good boys do. Look how sad you made your poor fathers. The furious dads' faces twitched like they were having full-blown seizures. Let's admit it, Leo was basically having the absolute time of his life. You're right, Leo, Luke's dad forcefully choked out. We'll teach them better at home. They've apologized and we've punished them. Can we please take them home now? Before he even finished his sentence, Leo flipped straight onto his stomach, dragging himself pathetically across the floor, staring in absolute horror at the blood on his hands. Why am I coughing up so much blood? He wailed dramatically. Am I going to die? Don't want to die. Leo desperately grabbed Dr. Vance's pant leg, sobbing completely hysterically. Doc, am I dying? Save me. Dr. Vance, totally enjoying his role in this daytime soap opera, cleared his throat. Young Master Leo, please do not agitate yourself. You unfortunately have severe internal bleeding. If your heart rate spikes, the internal ruptures will rapidly worsen. I can treat you, but if you stay this completely stressed, even I can't save you. His performance was absolutely flawless, carrying genuine heavy sorrow. Arthur's eye twitched again. Faking a near-death experience was one thing entirely, but getting a highly respected doctor into his theater troupe, the four dads, completely unaware that Dr. Vance was just a paid actor, started to seriously doubt their own eyes. Leo was moving like a gymnast 5 minutes ago. How was he suddenly dying now? They stayed entirely silent, waiting for his next dramatic demand. Leo dragged himself a little further and looked up at them with tragic, tear-filled eyes. Uncles, I know you're all good people. You certainly wouldn't want to see a young man die, right? But Leo plays it up every time he looks at Luke and the gang. The trauma of the beating triggers his heart rate. He gets so agitated, his organs might just explode. They wouldn't want to be responsible for his death, right? Luke's dad caught on fast. Right. They would never want that. Poor kid. They will take them away right now so Leo does not have to look. He reached down to drag his son away. Ah, his heart. Leo screamed he was dying. He gasped for air and pushed further. Since they are such good people, could they have Luke, Vince, Tom, and Sam transfer out of Sunshine Private Academy? If he sees them in the hallways, the PTSD will literally kill him on the spot. They will not let him down, right? The dads froze. Sunshine Academy was absolutely the most prestigious elite school in the city. Getting kicked out basically meant social suicide. They sent their kids there to network with the Lancaster heirs and to secure future business deals. Now Leo wanted them expelled. That was completely destroying their futures. Their faces turned incredibly dark. We know this kid was a greedy, bottomless pit. The bullies were equally furious. They already apologized. What more did he want? Luke's dad forced a smile. Leo, they will make sure they avoid him at school. If he is in a room, they leave. No need to force them to transfer, right? Leo immediately slammed his face into the floor, smearing blood everywhere, and wailed toward the ceiling. Arthur Lancaster, he regretted ever coming to this house. If he had stayed in the orphanage, he would be thriving. He had barely been here 2 years, and he was being beaten to death. The wealthiest family in the city letting their son get bullied in his own home. What an absolute humiliation. Bullseye. Leo knew exactly how to trigger Arthur. He was a Lancaster. Him getting beaten was a direct slap to the Lancaster name. And if there is one thing Arthur cares about more than life itself, it is ego. As expected, Arthur's face darkened like a thundercloud. He looked at the boys, seeing the sheer, unadulterated hatred in their eyes. They were not sorry at all. They were definitely plotting revenge. They slapped the Lancaster family in the face, and now they want to keep their bright futures. Not on his watch, Leo is. Right, Arthur said coldly. They will let the physical altercation slide today, but to ensure this never happens again, and for the sake of the family's ongoing business relations, they need to transfer their sons out of Sunshine Academy. The dads looked at the hateful glares their sons were shooting Leo, and they knew. Arthur was right, these idiots were going to cause way more trouble. But transferring schools, they had to swallow their bitter pills. Understood. Mr. Lancaster, they said through gritted teeth, we will process their transfers immediately. Please do not let this affect our business contracts. Arthur nodded, dismissing them. Seeing his mission accomplished, Leo quietly lay on the floor, letting Dr. Vance perform his life-saving fake CPR. The dads quickly dragged their ruined sons out of the mansion. The exact moment their cars pulled out of the driveway, Leo bounced up off the floor like a spring. His chest and face were still coated in ketchup, but he was grinning ear to ear. He pulled the 8 bank cards out of his pocket, examining them like rare Pokémon cards. To him, this was pure treasure. Honestly, even living to 40 in his past life, he never saw so much cash, $480,000. We can see Arthur glaring at Leo's money-grubbing expression with sheer, absolute disgust. Thrilled over a few pennies, I'm letting it slide today, Leo, Arthur scoffed. Only because that kid swung first, but if you act crazy and keep humiliating us, see if I help you again. Embarrassingly shallow, Leo just tightly gripped his 480,000 tight, totally immune. Oh, nearly $500,000. As just pennies to you, Leo smiled brightly, if it's really so little. Why not hand over $500,000 right now? Do that, and you're perfectly right. If not, keep quiet. Arthur was completely choked by Leo's flawless logic. Leo, is this exactly how you speak to your own father? Leo just scoffed, then hand over the cash. I've been here 2 years, never got a single dime until that 30K recently. Now you're acting incredibly high and mighty about my $500,000, please. Arthur was completely speechless, pointing a violently shaking finger straight at him. Whatever, watch your back and stop causing trouble or you're on your own. Leo ignored the impotent rage, gleefully hugging his cards and phone. Skipping straight upstairs, Arthur looked ready to have a full-blown stroke right there. Honestly, Arthur was starting to look at Leo completely differently now, almost like he actually preferred this chaotic, unhinged version over the old, silent, and depressed Leo. Maybe his dad was a masochist. Leo shook his head at the totally absurd idea. Meanwhile, Mason watched the entire spectacle, noticing Arthur completely failed to punish Leo. This meant Arthur was subconsciously accepting this wild, feral behavior, a truly vicious jealousy sparked in Mason's eyes. If only Leo had never come back. Just as Leo was about to leave the living room, Dr. Vance shouted out in pure panic, "Young Master Leo, you forgot something, right? The 20K." Seeing the doctor's eager, panicked face, Leo just laughed. "Relax, Doc, I won't short you your 20K. Just give me 2 days to transfer this cash, and I'll wire it to you." Waving the stack of cards, Leo smirked. "Don't worry, I am a rich man now. I won't scam you over 20K. Vance's face bloomed into a radiant, massive smile. "Absolutely, you're wealthy now. I trust you completely." Back in the safety of his room, Leo hopped onto his live stream, offering a quick apology. "Hey guys. Unfortunately, due to minor health issues, there won't be any dumpster diving for a few days." Even without hearing the audio of that insane living room showdown, the fans saw Leo get jumped and were incredibly sympathetic. "Take care of yourself, streamer. The trash isn't going anywhere." Beaten up and still updating us. "We really don't deserve you." After chatting, Leo ended the stream, taking a well-deserved and incredibly deep nap with all 8 bank cards tucked safely under his pillow. He slept straight through to the evening, waking up with a seriously growling stomach, heading down for dinner. Let's set the scene. Just Arthur, Evelyn, Khloe, Mason, and of course, Leo, he ignored everyone, walking straight to the table, completely surveying the massive spread: lobster fried rice, salmon salad, spicy steamed fish head, crispy fried fish and greens, not bad at all. Without greeting anyone, Leo grabbed a bowl, scooped a literal mountain of lobster rice, and started inhaling it. Right on cue, Khloe started her absolutely exhausting daily dinner time performance. Leo, you have completely zero manners. Mom and dad are sitting here, and you're just stuffing your face without a word. I know you grew up in an orphanage, but no parents to teach you, but you belong to the Lancaster family now. Bare minimum. Greet your parents and actually thank them for raising you. Arthur and Evelyn simply nodded along, totally expecting our boy Leo to stop eating, deeply bow his head and beg for their mercy. Khloe looked incredibly smug, winking right at Mason to flaunt her dominance. Leo slowly set his bowl down on the table. He did not take another bite. He simply stood up and quietly walked out. Khloe smirked, totally convinced she just bullied him into skipping dinner like the old days, but you and I know he did not walk away because he felt sad. He left because Khloe's mouth was completely filthy, and honestly, it desperately needed a deep clean. He marched straight into the nearby bathroom and grabbed the literal toilet brush. He inspected it, still absolutely gross, just perfect. Hiding it behind his back, Leo strolled right back into the dining room. Khloe was the very first to notice him. She raised an eyebrow, totally stunned. Usually, when she bullied him, he either sat quietly or ran away crying. Why was he back before she could open her trap for another insult? And while Arthur and Evelyn still expected an apology, Leo made his epic move. He walked casually right behind Khloe. She turned her head, smirking, opening her mouth to speak. Bam! Leo jammed that filthy toilet brush straight into her wide-open mouth. He gripped her jaw tight so she could not even close it. Khloe's eyes widened in pure, unparalleled terror. Her mouth was completely stuffed with stiff, chemical-soaked bristles combined with the disgusting, overwhelming stench of public bathroom. Her gag reflex triggered immediately. Everything she had just eaten came rocketing straight back up. She puked violently, but with that brush wedged inside her mouth, the vomit sprayed absolutely everywhere like a broken fire hydrant. Leo aggressively scrubbed the brush inside her mouth while she relentlessly threw up. Arthur and Mason finally snapped out of their shock, lunging forward to rip him off her. When they yanked him away, the brush popped out, clearing the brutal blockage. Khloe unleashed an absolute tidal wave of vomit across the dinner table. Evelyn gagged, covered her mouth, and literally bolted out of the room to puke in the hallway. Arthur and Mason were completely grossed out, desperately trying to hold their stomachs together. Khloe, finally freed from the brush, kept dry heaving, tears streaming rapidly down her face. She could not speak, but her eyes shot pure, venomous hatred at Leo. Mason, suppressing his own urge to vomit, immediately started scolding Leo. Big brother, Khloe was just giving you honest advice. Why would you do that to her, especially with that thing? He gagged, swallowed hard, and desperately continued. Was she wrong? Should we not be filial to our parents and thank them for raising us? Arthur's face turned completely purple as he roared. Leo, you absolute psycho, your mother and I raised you, and this is how you repay us. Was your sister wrong? Do you not owe us your absolute respect and gratitude? Do you think we owe you something? Leo looked at the toilet brush in his hand, still not satisfying enough. He glared at Khloe's hateful glare. We agree her mouth was still too dirty. Gripping the vomit covered toilet brush, he took a step right toward her. Khloe completely lost her mind. Exhausted and openly weeping, she scrambled backward across the floor, desperately hiding behind Arthur's legs, using him as a human shield. Arthur absolutely exploded, seeing Leo ready to attack once again. Leo, answer me right now. When your sister said to thank us for raising you, was she wrong? We owe you absolutely nothing. You are a thankless, ungrateful wretch. Leo laughed coldly, swinging that nasty toilet brush right in his father's direction. Stray drops of vomit went flying. Arthur instinctively jumped back in pure disgust, dropping the leather belt he had just grabbed. Meanwhile, Khloe unfortunately caught the splash zone, completely broken. She let out a pathetic whimper and passed out. Cold on the floor, "What are you doing?" Arthur screamed out. "Are you going to hit your own father?" He pointed at Leo, practically foaming at the mouth. "Regret the day you were born. I should have strangled you in the crib so I wouldn't die of high blood pressure today." Hearing that garbage, Leo completely flipped the switch. He dropped the brush, twisted his face into a mask of pure agony, and threw himself onto the floor, thrashing around wildly. The dirty brush clattered away, smearing more disgusting mess onto the tiles. "Do you really think you don't owe me?" Leo shrieked at the top of his lungs. "Arthur Lancaster, you and Evelyn owe me everything." Arthur trembled with pure rage. "You ungrateful bastard, tell me exactly what we actually owe you. We gave you life, we feed you. How does that make us owe you?" Leo kept thrashing on the dirty floor, screaming right back. "You do owe me. When I was 2 years old, you totally failed as parents and let me get snatched by human traffickers. I spent 13 years rotting in an orphanage completely alone while you did absolutely zero parenting. You failed your legal and moral obligations to me." Arthur's face turned completely green. For a split second, he couldn't even formulate a comeback. But Leo didn't stop. The law explicitly states parents have a duty to protect and raise their minor children. You completely neglected me for over a decade. How do you not owe me? Arthur's eyes looked like they were literally going to pop out of his skull. The dining room was now an absolute biohazard zone of vomit, shattered dishes, and pure chaos. Unable to take the awful stench or Leo's screaming any longer, the father spun around and stormed right out of the room. Leo suddenly felt bored. He casually tossed the toilet brush aside, dusted himself off, and walked back to his bedroom, leaving his family to clean up that apocalyptic mess. For the next few days, the massive Lancaster mansion was eerily quiet. "You and I know how this works. If you act completely unhinged, the people around you suddenly become very polite and well-behaved." Finally, the new school semester started. Mason and Leo rode in the family's luxury Rolls-Royce to Sunshine Private Academy. They were seniors now, entering the brutal final sprint. Right before the massive college entrance exams, Mason was the absolute golden boy, not just top of the school but the top student in the entire city. And Leo, he was stuck at the bottom of the barrel. In his past life, before joining the Lancaster family, our guy actually had amazing grades, but after moving in, dealing with the family's intense neglect and the severe school bullying secretly orchestrated by Mason, his grades completely plummeted right into the abyss. On the very first day of school, near the end of the fourth period, their homeroom teacher and strict literature professor, Mr. Ian Bates, glared right at him. "Leo, come to my office after class." He announced the period was dismissed and walked out without even checking if Leo was actually following. The whole class was used to this unfair routine. Nobody even blinked an eye, feeling the cold stares of his classmates, especially Mason's fake concern masking pure malice. Leo instantly knew his very first school battle was about to begin. In his past life, Mr. Bates loved doing exactly this. "Stick with me here." He would call Leo into the office right when, with the other teachers watching, Bates played the strict, caring educator role perfectly. Leo just stood up and followed him into the teacher's lounge. They stopped right at his desk. The other staff were eating lunch, resting. Seeing Leo, they exchanged those knowing little glances. They knew him as the school's biggest screw-up. "Leo, check this homework," Mr. Bates yelled out dramatically. "Your handwriting is total trash, and these answers are completely wrong. Do you even plan on going to college with that awful attitude? How will you ever succeed?" Eating up the admiring stares of his coworkers, Bates got even louder, literal spit flying from his mouth. He was putting on a masterclass, the perfect, dedicated teacher sacrificing his lunch break for a troubled kid. But let's be real here, Bates was just bullying him. He knew Mason was the golden Lancaster boy, while Leo was the outcast. Bates saw Mason's secret hatred, so he started tormenting Leo a year ago, finding any excuse to publicly humiliate him. Mason, naturally, acted super sweet to this. Teacher totally validating Bates's bullying. Plus, it made the guy look incredibly dedicated to the staff. Total win-win. Why can't you be like Mason? Bates roared, getting aggressive now. You're both Lancasters. He has flawless character. Top grades and helps everyone. You, terrible grades, absolutely zero friends and a garbage attitude. Have you no shame? Caught in the hype, Mr. Bates shoved Leo hard in the chest. Perfect. Leo went completely limp, letting that shove carry his momentum, crashing dramatically right onto the hard floor. The entire lounge went completely dead silent. Bates just froze, hands still awkwardly extended in a pushing motion. Leo laid there on the floor, limbs twitching, letting a little bit of spit foam at the corner of his mouth. Bates just stared at his hand. I didn't push him that hard. I've shoved him before. He was fine. Why is he dying? The other teachers finally snapped out of their shock and rushed over. Leo, you okay? Wake up, someone glared daggers at Bates. Mr. Bates, we know you care, but you cannot get physical. Look what you did to this poor kid. They didn't think he did it maliciously, just that he got way too passionate. But Leo knew simply falling over wouldn't ruin this guy. Watch this final blow. Leo weakly fluttered his eyes open. Teachers, I think I just have low blood sugar. If I could just sit in a chair. For a minute, one teacher immediately shoved Bates aside and dragged his office chair right over. They helped Leo sit down. Mr. Bates, terrified that he had just caught an assault charge, he didn't dare protest. Sitting in that chair, Leo wasn't resting at all. He was exactly where he needed to be. He knew a dark secret about Mr. Bates. The guy was a massive creep. He lusted after the female students, but since every kid at Sunshine Academy had stupidly powerful parents, he didn't touch them, so instead, he settled for stealing their underwear. For years there had been creepy rumors of a panty thief in the girls' dorms, but the school always brushed it off as girls just misplacing their laundry. Now, in Leo's past life, Bates got exposed 6 months from now when another teacher accidentally pulled open the top drawer of his desk, unleashing an absolute avalanche of stolen lingerie. He kept it right in his desk to admire during work hours. Leo slumped weakly in his chair, covertly scanning that desk. The second and third drawers were slightly ajar, showing boring papers, but the top drawer shut tight. Bingo. While you and I watch Leo scheme, Bates frantically defended himself to his colleagues. I swear I did not hit the kid. I barely nudged him, Bates pleaded. He collapsed, must be anemic. The other teachers nodded sympathetically. Do not worry, Ian, we know you're dedicated. Bates sighed in deep relief. Crisis averted, but then Leo intentionally slid right off his chair, faking another dramatic fainting spell. His eyes went wide with panic as he flailed his arms blindly, grabbing for support, and right on cue, his hand clamped firmly onto the handle of the teacher's top drawer. Bates turned around, saw Leo's hand, and his soul instantly left his body. He knew exactly what was inside. Bates lunged at Leo with terrifying speed, but got completely blocked by 2 teachers trying to catch Leo. This gave our boy the crucial half-second he needed. Hitting the floor, Leo pulled hard, the drawer yanked wide open. A literal explosion of colorful lacy silk underwear, red, pink, yellow, and black garments burst from the totally overstuffed drawer, cascading everywhere onto the floor. Bates froze like a statue, his mind going completely blank. It was over. He was dead. The other teachers stared in absolute horror. Why did Ian have a literal mountain of women's underwear hidden away? Someone finally connected the dots to those creepy dorm rumors. Was he the panty thief? Before they could even process it, Leo sprang up, grabbing massive handfuls of the stolen lingerie and leaped right over the desk. Oh my God, Leo screamed out at the top of his lungs. Are these the missing girls' underwear? Is our homeroom teacher the dorm panty thief? Bates stood totally paralyzed. The other teachers panicked hard. They instantly realized this mess needed containing, or else it would become A catastrophic scandal for the school. They exchanged nervous glances, silently signaling to handle this internally. If they hushed it up, Bates might survive, but you. And I know Leo had zero intention of letting him survive, clutching the stolen panties. Leo bolted right out the door into the hallway. I have to show these to the girls, he bellowed, sprinting down the corridor. Mr. Bates told me I need to be way more helpful to my classmates, so I am helping them find their lost lingerie. Leo ran like an Olympic sprinter, colorful lace flapping majestically in the wind right behind him. A mob of terrified teachers chased desperately, begging Leo, stop, do not be rash, maybe those aren't theirs, let us just talk about this. Leo ignored them completely, his voice echoing loudly through the school. Because afternoon classes were about to start, the main hallways were packed with students. Suddenly they witnessed a truly bizarre spectacle, Leo sprinting at full speed with a massive rainbow assortment of lingerie, chased by a panicked herd of teachers. What is he holding? Is that underwear? Leo yelled out to the crowd. Girls of Sunshine Academia, your missing underwear was hoarded in the desk of Mr. Ian Bates. Come claim your property or go check his office. The frantic teachers chasing him literally wanted to cry. They tried telling him it wasn't the girls' underwear, but they definitely didn't tell him to broadcast it to the entire female student body. The cat was not just out of the bag, it was doing backflips in the courtyard. The students erupted. The girls, initially shocked, turned instantly furious. He said he found it in Bates's desk. That total creep was the one stealing our stuff. This is completely disgusting. I am going to his office right now. Me too. Let's see exactly how many he stole. A massive mob of furious the schoolgirls abandoned their classrooms, marching out like an angry revolutionary army toward the teacher's lounge. Soon, half the campus knew exactly what was going down. The principal was sweating bullets, realizing the academy's entire reputation was on the brink of annihilation. But watch what our guy Leo does next. The students stared at him, totally dumbfounded. He just ignored them, leaning against the wall, catching his breath before holding up the leftover pile of stolen underwear. Ladies of Class 12, he announced, I recovered a fraction of the stolen goods from Mr. Bates's desk. See if any of this is yours, the rest is still in his office. A tall, striking girl with an absolute commanding presence suddenly stood up. This was Rachel, the undisputed alpha female of their class. She had lost some things previously, but never bothered to investigate. Now, she was absolutely livid. Leo, are you serious? You actually found this in his desk? Dead serious, our guy replied. There's a massive mob heading for his office right now. Rachel didn't hesitate. She immediately rallied the troops. Girls, we're hunting that creep down. Move out. The entire female population of the classroom stormed out, raging. Leo didn't actually expect anyone to step up and claim the evidence he was holding. It was just way too embarrassing in public, plus knowing that creep touched them, basically radioactive, so he respectfully placed the pile on Rachel's desk, trusting she would handle it properly. As the true boss, he sat down at his desk, exhausted but highly satisfied. Mr. Bates was finished. You and I know with wealthy parents involved, he wouldn't just be fired, he would absolutely face criminal charges. By the end of the day, the Academy announced Mr. Bates was terminated immediately. Meanwhile, Rachel had gathered all the evidence and prepared a massive lawsuit alongside the other families. If the school hadn't acted fast, these billionaire parents would have literally bought the school just to bulldoze it. The girls finally returned to class, their fury subsiding. One by one, they walked up to Leo's desk to apologize. Leo, if you hadn't exposed him, who knows what else that disgusting creep would have done. Thank you so much. He just gave them his best humble, awkward smile. Now get this, the guys were absolutely seething with pure jealousy, seeing him, the former class loser, suddenly surrounded by the prettiest, most popular girls in the entire school, including their crushes, was just too much to bear. Then Rachel walked over, slamming her hand on his desk, nearly knocking over his water bottle. She looked at him with a fierce, approving grin. Leo, you did good today. If it wasn't for you, we never would have caught that bastard. I am sorry we misunderstood you before, but starting today you are cool in my book. Rachel. I'm officially declaring you under my personal protection. Anyone messes with you, they answer to me. She shot a lethal glare at the boys who used to bully him. They instantly ducked their heads, pretending to study hard, because nobody messed with Rachel. The other girls cheered. Yeah, Leo is our friend now. Nobody touches him. Our MC was genuinely moved by this. In his entire life, nobody had ever stood in front of him and promised to protect him, not at the orphanage and definitely not at the Lancaster house. He finally dropped the fake smile and looked at her. Seriously. Deal, thanks in advance. Rachel laughed, slapping his back hard enough to dislocate a shoulder. Do not be so polite, dude. See you. He completely ignored the intensely hateful glare coming from Mason across the room. Mason. This guy had been chasing Rachel for months, completely obsessed with her looks and family status, but she always kept him locked firmly in the friend zone, seeing her actively protect Leo. Yeah, it made him insanely jealous. Later that night at the Lancaster mansion, during dinner, Arthur glared at Leo. Just watch this setup. We heard about what went down at school today. Even if your intentions were actually good, you need to be careful. Do not get involved in such dirty, scandalous matters. It is deeply embarrassing. The Lancaster family should never be associated with such dirty business. Evelyn quickly chimed in. Exactly. It is disgusting when people gossip about this later. They will definitely associate you with that pervert teacher. It literally reflects so horribly on our family. Why cannot you be more like Mason? Focus on your studies and actually bring honor to this family. Mason gave a totally fake smile. Mom, Dad, please do not blame Big Brother. He has only been here 2 years. He does not understand high society rules or what is considered taboo. He will learn. He shot Leo a crazy, smug, triumphant look. See, you might be a hero at school, but right here, I am the golden child. Khloe eagerly nodded. Along ever since that hilarious toilet brush incident, she was desperate for a chance to see Leo finally put in his place. Mason, feeling incredibly bold, continued, since Big Brother does not know the rules and you are both so busy, I will spend an hour every single night teaching him exactly how to behave and what to avoid. That way he will not embarrass the Lancaster family anymore. The toxic implication was crystal clear. I am superior, you are an embarrassment. Arthur beamed with pure pride. Mason, you are truly a sensible kid. It is your senior year, yet you are willing to sacrifice your study time to actually tutor your brother. You see the big picture here. Leo, you really should be thanking him. Evelyn smiled proudly. Exactly. Mason's time is incredibly precious. Leo, you better show some gratitude. But Leo just slowly placed his chopsticks down. We are about to witness absolute chaos. He grabbed the silk tablecloth and violently yanked backward with all his insane strength. If you guys cannot shut your damn mouths while eating, then absolutely nobody eats. Crash, plates, bowls, and steaming hot food went completely flying. A heavy bowl of scalding soup and greasy fried rice landed perfectly on Mason and Khloe. Mason squeezed his eyes shut as a totally molten custard bun literally bounced off his forehead. He was dripping with hot beef broth and chili oil from head to toe. Khloe was covered in nasty sticky sauce and wilted vegetables, looking exactly like a swamp monster. Arthur and Evelyn, sitting safely on the opposite side, narrowly avoided that epic splash zone. They stared in absolute shock at the totally ruined dining room, then at Leo's completely nonchalant expression. Leo, what the heck are you even doing? Arthur roared loudly. Mason was trying to help you and you assault him, you ungrateful psycho. Mason wiped thick grease from his eyes, suppressing pure fury, and played the perfect victim. Big Brother, I honestly do not know what I did to deeply offend you. Was it wrong wanting to teach you our family rules? I just do not want you embarrassing Mom and Dad. Arthur violently slammed his heavy fist on the table. Mason is right. Look at you. You are a walking Embarrassment to the proud Lancaster name. If you do not want to learn, fine, but flipping tables, I will not tolerate this behavior. Stick with me here. Leo grabbed the heavy oak dining chair right next to him and violently smashed it against the wall. Crack, he swung it again, totally smashing it against the remaining plates on the table. He glared. Leo screams right at Arthur and Evelyn. You think I'm an embarrassment? Fine, let's go to a notary right now. We are severing our legal ties from today. I, Leo Lancaster, am completely done with this family, dead or alive. We are strangers, let's go. Too scared. To prove it, Leo violently smashes a chair straight against the floor, wood splinters everywhere. Arthur and Evelyn flinched, totally terrified by his raw aggression. Honestly, you and I can see why. It looks less like breaking wood and more like he wants to break them. What are you doing? Arthur yells, stumbling back. Who are you trying to scare here? Do you really think you can survive without our Lancaster wealth? If you want to stay in this family, stop acting like a lunatic. Start bringing us actual honor. We do not raise useless trash. Evelyn glares right at Leo. Do you think your little tantrum scares us? The Lancaster family is a billionaire dynasty. You need us, we don't need you. Leo just stares them down coldly. You promised me a home, but I got nothing but pure abuse. If you really wanted to give me a good life, you would have jumped off a cliff already. Leo's anger finally boils over. He grabs a jagged chair leg and slams it into the wall, leaving a massive dent. You told me the orphanage was bad, then explain this. Absolute hell you've put me through. Tell me, Arthur, tell me, Eve. What exactly is so amazing about this miserable family that I should be so grateful? Arthur is completely speechless. He just looks over at Evelyn, his eyes full of blame. Evelyn knows her neglect caused this entire mess. She absolutely refuses to meet his gaze. Leo keeps smashing everything. Walls dented, the table completely ruined. Years of repressed anger and toxic humiliation are finally exploding outward. Arthur's head throbs. Leo is acting like a rabid dog right now, devoid of all logic. Arthur wants to punish him, but he remembers the knife, the crazy fire, the unhinged behavior. He simply does not dare push Leo any further. You ungrateful bastard, Arthur spits. I don't care anymore. Be a huge embarrassment if you want. I am washing my hands of you. He turns and furiously storms out of the dining room. Evelyn quickly rushes after him. Now, only Mason, Khloe, and Leo are left in the ruined room. Leo casually drops the jagged wood, turns right to them, and smiles so pleasantly. The two siblings, still completely covered in food and grease, just freeze, seeing Leo smile at them like that. Absolute, bone-chilling terror completely seizes both of them. Without saying a single word, they both desperately scramble backward. They slip on the greasy tiles, stumble back up, and sprint out of that room like they just seen an actual demon. Leo stands alone in the wreckage, shaking his head. They could have just kept quiet, but no, they had to push him. Now watch what happens next. The Lancaster mansion is actually blissfully peaceful. Friday night rolls around. Lily, who normally grinds late at the office, is home. Every single eye is completely locked on Arthur. He is practically glowing with hype. Tomorrow is Saturday, Arthur announces so proudly. The Lancaster Group is throwing a massive corporate gala. Every top executive and all our major partners will be there. Lily, tell me, have you prepared your big corporate strategy presentation yet? Tomorrow is a massive networking opportunity for you. Lily nods fast. Seriously, do not worry, Dad, I'm fully prepared. I will not let you down. Arthur nods, turning right to Khloe. Khloe, dressed to impress tomorrow night. I am inviting several young elite entrepreneurs. Maybe she'd find a wealthy husband. Khloe playfully rolled her eyes. Dad, please, I am Khloe Lancaster. I look absolutely stunning without even trying. Tomorrow, rich men will be lining up to worship me. Evelyn laughed. Don't be silly, dear. I hired a top stylist. You'll completely steal the show. Arthur finally turned to Mason. Listen, this gala is way different from the usual parties. The guests are major elites. You really need to learn how to network. Build relationships and leverage those big connections. Understand, Mason gave a solemn nod. Yes, Dad, I won't let you down. I will make you proud, Arthur laughed. Loudly, the entire family was just showering each other with endless praise and validation, but right at that moment, our guy Leo loudly interrupted them. Wow, everyone. Sounds so incredibly excited. Did you guys magically forget about me again? The atmosphere in the room completely flatlined. All laughter died, instantly replaced by a painfully awkward, tense silence. Leo sat right there, watching his supposed family deliberately avoid any eye contact with him. He sneered at them. Well, speak up, did you forget about me, Leo Lancaster, or did you just not want me there? His voice grew louder, his tone turning aggressive. Ever since Leo returned to this toxic family, any public event meant he was explicitly excluded. The reason was actually super simple, they thought. The orphanage kid would embarrass them. In his past life, Leo silently accepted this. Desperate to win their twisted approval, he thought if he stayed out of their way, they would eventually love him. But you and I know better, the new Leo plays by one simple rule: ruin his peace and he brings the hell. He stood up, glaring right at them. Speak up, why did you exclude me? Lily could not take it anymore. She violently slammed the table and stood up, looking down at her brother with pure, supreme arrogance. Leo, why are you yelling? You know exactly why we never invited you. You grew up in a trashy orphanage. You completely lack basic etiquette. How could you possibly mingle with real billionaires? If you offend some CEO and ruin a major company contract, can you afford the massive penalty? Stop acting like a dramatic child. Tomorrow, go find a hole to hide in. Avoid the gala entirely. Leo laughed darkly in his head. Did Lily actually think being the eldest sister gave her power over him? She clearly forgot exactly who she was dealing with. His eyes instantly flashed red. He began to tremble, his voice dropping to a fragile, super shaky whisper. So you all just look down on me. If you despise me, why even bring me back? Why? His voice suddenly spiked into a terrifying demonic shriek. Why? I hate you. I completely hate all of you. Burn in hell. Arthur had been staying totally silent, letting his eldest handle the insanity, but hearing Leo's outrageous curse, he completely snapped. The patriarch stood up, ready to verbally obliterate him, but before Arthur could speak, Leo violently rolled his eyes into the back of his head, exposing pure white, and totally collapsed backward out of the chair, slamming into the floor, a heavy thud. Arthur flinched hard. Wait, did Lily actually just anger him to death? His rational mind screamed that was impossible. He knew Leo was dramatic, but seeing him lifeless there, Arthur cautiously stepped forward to check on his son, just in case they needed an actual ambulance. But the second he got close, bam, Leo violently shot straight up, nearly headbutting him. Arthur stumbled backward. He knew it. The boy was just playing crazy. Again, Leo, you ungrateful brat. Meanwhile, Leo stood rigidly straight, his lifeless arms hanging awkwardly at his sides. His eyes were still completely rolled back, exposing only the His eyes rolled back. He slowly opened his mouth, and the voice that came out, not his at all. It was an eerie, gravelly, totally feminine voice. You little brat, I haven't beaten you in decades, and look how you turned out. Leo is my precious grandson. Why are you beating and cursing him? If you ever dare touch Leo again, I swear, I will crawl straight out of the underworld and beat you so hard you end up paralyzed. Arthur's face completely drained of color. He grabbed the edge of the table just to keep from collapsing. The voice, the exact cadence, the phrasing, it was his dead mother. His mind just went completely blank. Is my mother actually possessing Leo from beyond the grave? His legs practically turned to jelly. He couldn't speak. Without breaking character at all, Leo took a stiff, jerky hop straight over to Lily. He stared at her with pure white eyes. The dining room descended into absolute panic. Evelyn was entirely paralyzed with fear. Back when Leo was kidnapped, that mother-in-law had made her life a literal hell, constantly cursing her daily for being a useless mother. It was absolutely the darkest period of Evelyn's life. When the old woman finally died 13 years ago, Evelyn felt liberated. Now, seeing the ghost of her mother-in-law manifest, Evelyn completely collapsed onto the floor. Absolute sheer terror. Khloe and Mason, who were way too young to remember the grandmother, were less traumatized but still deeply freaked out. Lily, on the other hand, was trembling uncontrollably. Leo hopped closer to her, grabbed her tightly by the hair, and delivered a brutal flurry of slaps right to her face. Lily, my good granddaughter, your parents' perfect daughter, you watched your own baby brother get taken by traffickers and did not say a single word, and now you dare bully my precious grandson. Watch how I deal with you, you absolute animal. Smack. Smack. Leo slapped her several more times. Arthur, sitting completely paralyzed on the floor, heard those words and froze. Now pay attention here. Lily saw Leo getting kidnapped and didn't cry for help. Is that even possible? She is his biological sister. How could she just watch? Despite the sheer terror, Arthur looked at Lily, desperate to see if she would deny it, but Lily's face was already swelling from the slaps. Her eyes were filled with profound guilt and absolute terror. She made zero attempt to fight back. You animal, I will beat you to death. Leo channeled the dead grandmother absolutely perfectly. How could you watch your own brother get taken, you venomous snake? He raised his hand and slapped her hard again. Crack. Her cheeks swelled up like balloons. Lily completely broke down crying. Grandma, I didn't mean to. I was just a kid. I didn't know what was happening. Please, since Leo came back safely, forgive me. Shut up, he roared in that gravelly voice. You were 10 years old. How could you not know? You just didn't want your brother to come home. He sneered right at her. Did you think I loved him more than you, so you let them take him, you vicious little brat? He slapped her so hard she spun around. Don't you dare say he came back safely just because of luck. That has absolutely nothing to do with you asking for forgiveness. You deserve to be beaten. Arthur, seeing his eldest daughter getting absolutely pummeled, finally snapped right out of his shock. He was terrified, but he couldn't just let her be beaten to death. Mom, he cried out. Mom, please, Lily is your granddaughter, too. For my sake, please. Spare her. Leo carelessly tossed Lily aside and jerked his body toward Arthur. You are not a good person either. He grabbed the man by the hair. You have the nerve to call her mom. You and I know she loved Leo, daring to look down on her grandson, treating him like absolute garbage, beating him. Arthur was the one who should be looked down on. He should be beating himself. What a useless failure. The ghost unleashed an absolute combo of slaps right onto Arthur's face. He went totally stiff, letting his deceased mother slap him repeatedly without even a hint of resistance. Right then, Mason saw a perfect golden opportunity to score some major points. He stood up, acting brave. He begged her to stop, offering to take the punishment. For him, Arthur was actually moved to tears, even though Mason was merely adopted, stepping up to take a brutal beating in the middle of this supernatural crisis filled his heart with absolute warmth. What a good son. But just as Arthur felt touched, the ghost's eerie voice sliced right through the room. She warned him not to call her grandma. She didn't know what random gutter he crawled out of, but he was absolutely not a true Lancaster. Arthur was completely stunned. Mason caught the absolute crossfire. She'd beat this imposter to death. The grandmother raised her ghostly hand to slap Arthur again. If he dared mistreat her real grandson again, she would drag him straight to hell. Mason, desperate to secure his massive inheritance, totally doubled down. He argued she couldn't say that, even if they didn't share blood. He was excellent and loyal. He was his dad's true son. He started crying for dramatic effect. He told Arthur not to worry. Living as a Lancaster, he would die as a Lancaster ghost. No matter what happened today, he would always be his loyal son. Arthur looked right at Mason, heavy tears streaming down his face. He agreed completely. Mason would always be his son. The whole scene was so nauseatingly melodramatic, it was actually vomit-inducing. Their fake father-son bonding was absolutely revolting. The angry grandmother immediately raised her hand and slapped the back of Arthur's head as hard as she possibly could. Arthur yelped, begging her to stop while covering his head. he was going to die. Good, better if he died, the grandmother's eerie voice spat back. She only recognized Leo as her true grandson. The rest of them could screw off if they mistreated him again. She would take their lives. Arthur panicked, promising to listen and begging her to stop hitting him, whimpering on the floor. He had originally wanted to punish Leo for flipping that table, but now he swallowed every single complaint. Evelyn just couldn't take it anymore. She had been hiding in the corner, but after seeing that her mother-in-law wasn't actually using lethal force, her deep fear quickly shifted to annoyance. Evelyn actually argued she was being unfair. Mason was apparently the hope of the Lancaster family. He was brilliant, and what about Leo? He didn't even study. He acted totally crazy and embarrassed the family name. The ghost laughed a very dry, chilling cackle. She let go of Arthur's hair and took a terrifying stiff hop directly in front of Evelyn. Seeing her terrifying wide-eyed stare up close, all the color completely drained from Evelyn's face. The grandmother grabbed her perfectly styled hair and viciously yanked her head up. Did Evelyn really think she was forgotten? The ghost hissed loudly, calling her a useless gold digging total waste of space. If she wasn't so incredibly incompetent at watching her own child, her precious grandson wouldn't have been kidnapped and suffered for 13 long years. Slap. Finally, her grandson comes home, and instead of making amends, she decides to abuse him, locking him in a damp closet, giving him zero clothes and no money. With every single sentence, she delivered another brutal slap. Evelyn's cheeks quickly swelled up and blood trickled from the corner of her mouth, and she dared call Mason brilliant. She sneered. How dare she treat her grandson like this? Evelyn sobbed, begging for forgiveness. Evelyn sobbed hard, begging for mercy. Right on cue, Mason pulled his classic hero routine. He yelled at Leo to hit him instead. Our MC stared back with absolutely zero sympathy. Leo totally dropped Evelyn, lunged right at Mason, and snatched his collar hard. You want a beating? Wish granted. Listen, in Leo's past life, this fake brother secretly orchestrated his entire downfall, but this time around, our MC wasn't going to let him play the innocent victim. You little stray mutt, Leo growled, using the creepy grandma voice. You want a beating? Happy to oblige. He unleashed an absolute hurricane of slaps right across Mason's face. You eat the Lancaster food, live in the Lancaster house, blow all their money, and show absolutely zero gratitude. You dare resent the true heir, you parasite. Smack, smack. Honestly, Mason had never been hit like this in his entire life. Arthur and Evelyn never laid a finger on him. Mason glared with pure hatred, but when he met Leo's dead white eyes, a massive shiver ran straight down his spine. Was this actually Leo or the dead grandmother's ghost? All that hatred instantly turned to terror. He completely lost the nerve to fight. Leo wasn't letting him off that easy. He yanked Mason's face 2 inches away, letting the guy get a good look at those terrifying eyes, still glaring. You ungrateful leech. Leo slapped him again, hitting so hard his lips split open. Mason totally gave up right there. He begged Arthur for help, but Arthur was covering his own head, staring at the floor. He checked Evelyn, but she was huddled up in a corner, sobbing. Mason was utterly alone here. Leo kept slapping him until his face bruised up like a rotten plum. Our guy finally stopped, secretly worried that hitting him any harder might actually cause a real concussion and catch a charge. Now watch this. Leo suddenly whipped his head toward Khloe, who was stealthily trying to crawl under the table. Seeing his terrifying ghost gaze lock onto her, Khloe's soul practically left her body. After just watching Mason get totally wrecked, she completely believed this was a real paranormal event. Grandma, Grandma, I am so sorry. Khloe dropped right to her knees, crying hysterically. I never should have framed Leo. I shouldn't have insulted him. I was wrong. I am so sorry. She violently started slapping her own face, sobbing uncontrollably. Leo paused, actually genuinely surprised. He totally didn't expect her to be this proactive. Since Khloe was doing his job for him, he left her alone and hopped back over to Arthur. Khloe breathed a massive sigh of relief. Arthur flinched so hard as Leo Approached, Mom, please don't hit me. I know I was wrong. I promise I will. Treat Leo well from now on. Leo gave him a slow, deadpan stare. Then he collapsed. Backward, faking a knockout on the floor. A few moments later, he slowly fluttered his eyes open. He groaned, rubbing his head, acting completely confused. And then his eyes widened like the memories were flooding back. He jumped to his feet, glaring hard at the battered, bruised family. You guys really look down on me, don't you? He screamed, picking his earlier tantrum right back up. Since you despise me so much, we are cutting ties right now. I am done. He looked absolutely furious, panting heavily. The fake family, who just survived a wild paranormal beatdown, was terrified. That heavy, oppressive ghost aura of the dead grandmother felt super fresh in the room. Arthur, swallowing his own fear and pain, forced this really painful smile and rushed forward to grab Leo's arm. Leo, don't be rash. Please don't say that. We are family. How could we ever cut ties? Who said we look down on you? You are the only biological son of the Lancaster family, our absolute greatest treasure. Arthur frantically scanned the rest of the family. Who dares to look down on Leo? Evelyn caught on instantly. She rushed right over, her voice sickeningly sweet. Exactly. Leo, your father is right. You're our treasure. Nobody looks down on you, she shot frantic warning glares at Lily, Khloe, and Mason. The three quickly joined the chorus. We would never. Leo is our brother. We respect him so much. He pointed a finger straight at Lily. Hadn't she literally just claimed he would embarrass the family at the gala? Arthur did not hesitate. He marched right over and delivered two massive slaps across her face. Lily's cheeks, already swollen from the ghost, burned bright red. Tears streamed down her cheeks, but she didn't dare fight back, terrified of summoning the grandmother again. Lily, Arthur roared, how dare you disrespect Leo? He is the only son, worth 10 of you. Do you look down on him? Lily lowered her head, whispering, no, I don't. I misspoke. Arthur nodded in total satisfaction, turning back to Leo with a bizarre smile. See, Leo, I disciplined your sister. She doesn't dare look down on you. Nobody does. Now please just calm down. Let's not talk about cutting ties or dying. Leo sneered internally. You and I know he wasn't done yet. He pointed at Khloe next. She gasped, instantly dropped to her knees and started frantically slapping herself again. I am so sorry, Leo. I was wrong. I will never disrespect you again. Arthur smiled warmly. See, Leo, everyone has learned their lesson now. Can you please stop being angry? Leo just stared coldly. Then he pointed his finger directly at Mason. Mason's eyes widened in sheer horror. Big brother, I didn't say anything. I swear I didn't disrespect you. You didn't, Leo sneered. Didn't you just say you wanted to teach him manners? What gives an adopted kid the right to lecture the actual heir? If that isn't disrespect, what is? Arthur initially wanted to see how Mason might defend himself, but seeing Leo's anger flare up, he didn't dare risk it. Grabbing Mason's collar, he slapped him hard across his already ruined face. Shut up and stop arguing, Arthur yelled. Leo is right. Mason, you will fix your attitude. Smack, smack. Mason clutched his face, keeping his head down in silent fury. Arthur returned to Leo. Leo, everyone is disciplined now. Are we good? But our guy wasn't finished. He slowly turned his finger and pointed it right at Evelyn. She froze. She never expected him to target her. She stared down at him, a complex mix of emotions flashing across her pale face. Then she slowly raised her hand and slapped herself a few times. Leo, mommy was wrong, she whispered. I promise I will treat you well from now on. I won't look down on you. Please calm down. Don't scare mommy like this. Then she turned to her husband. Arthur, look, the whole family has been disciplined. Leo must be satisfied, right? Stick with me. He didn't move. He simply locked eyes with Arthur. Arthur's face turned completely pitch black. Rage boiled in his veins. This little bastard is pushing his luck. He raised his hand to strike him, but Evelyn grabbed his arm. Arthur, just give yourself a few light slaps. Show him you are sincere. Leo knew this was Evelyn getting revenge for him making her slap herself, dragging Arthur right down with her. Arthur gritted his teeth, raised a trembling hand, and delivered a few crisp slaps to His own face, the corner of his mouth bled slightly. That sharp sound of the slaps echoed across the dining room. You and I know this was his absolute limit. If he pushed any further, the illusion breaks. His entire revenge plan would completely backfire on him. He slowly stretched his arms out, acting like he finally calmed down. Fine, since you guys are so terrified of him leaving, even beating yourselves up just to prove it, he would stay. He didn't care about dying, but for their sakes, he wouldn't drag them all down with him. Hearing that, the entire Lancaster family let out a massive, exhausted sigh. Nobody wanted to smile, just looking at each other's badly bruised and swollen faces. They all looked equally pathetic. Leo turned right around and walked out of that dining room, leaving them to stew in pure humiliation. Back inside their bedroom, Evelyn finally spoke up. Arthur, was Leo faking it? Your mother has been dead for 13 years. How could she possibly show up and beat us half to death? Arthur collapsed straight onto the bed. If you thought he was faking, why didn't you say anything? Why did you just let my mother beat you up? Now that she has gone back to the afterlife, what is the point of bringing this up? Evelyn forced a smile. She was terrified earlier, but thinking about it right now, it makes zero sense. Why would she come back just for Leo? Why wouldn't she? Arthur fired back. His mother loved Leo the absolute most. She died completely heartbroken because they could not find him. Now he is back, seeing how poorly you treat him. Of course she would return to defend him. He sat up, glaring hard. Evelyn, I know you favor Mason, but do not forget Leo is your actual biological son. Don't make it so obvious, or you will summon my mother again and deeply regret it. Evelyn looked in the mirror at her swollen face. Her heart boiled with dark resentment. Arthur, shouldn't we hire a priest to check things out? Arthur narrowed his eyes instantly. What do you mean? Don't worry, I won't do a thing to your mother, she's quickly clarified. But if Leo can summon her, what if he summons other, much darker spirits? He is acting totally crazy lately. What if he accidentally brings some demon into the house? We really need to suppress his abilities. Arthur paused. Her twisted logic actually made sense. He knew his mother would never truly harm the family, but other unknown spirits were a totally different story. Fine, you handle it. I am way too busy. Let me know the results. He sighed heavily. Also, cancel tomorrow's big gala attendance. Our faces are far too bruised. Now watch this. A few days later, Leo returned to the mansion after school. He instantly sensed something was horribly wrong here. Mason had been walking with him all day long, completely silent, but now he was actually smiling at Leo, a nasty, truly malicious smile that practically screamed, "Your good days are totally over." Leo frowned. He didn't know their exact plan, but it was definitely a massive trap. He walked right into the living room. Khloe was on the sofa. She had been avoiding him like the plague for days now, but today she looked at him with a cold, totally mocking smirk. Just then, Evelyn walked downstairs, bringing a strange man. He was dressed in full Taoist priest robes, rocking a long beard, thick eyebrows, and a wooden sword strapped right to his back. He looked like a true master of the mystic arts. Leo instantly understood. They hired fake exorcist to deal with him. Looks like they dropped serious cash on this random guy. Leo didn't say a single word, casually sitting on the sofa. Let's see what this absolute clown can really do. Evelyn led the priest over, smiling brightly. Leo, this is Master Castor, a renowned spiritual leader. Mommy invited him here to make protective talismans for everyone in the family, but before making Leo's, this guy apparently needs to check his spiritual state. Just cooperate with the master and do whatever he says for a perfect talisman. Leo just nods his head so innocently. Okay, Mom, he will behave. Evelyn looks completely satisfied, tossing a thumbs up to Mason and Khloe. They stare back in awe, but his gut knows this is a setup. Watch this. Master Castor slaps on his best fake wise sage routine. Do not be afraid, young Master Leo. The process is super simple. Just follow along. Yes, Master Castor. Leo smiles harmlessly while the scammer observes him. Evelyn definitely warned this guy that Leo was a rebellious, unhinged psycho, but seeing him acting so totally obedient, the guy assumes she exaggerated. Easy money, he thinks. He draws out a wooden sword and starts dancing around Leo, chanting complete gibberish, and randomly waving that sword near his face. 5 minutes later, the act stops. He grabs a yellow paper talisman from his pocket, lights it up, and drops the ashes straight into a bowl of water. He waves it around our main character, sprinkling few drops on his head. Another 5 minutes drag by. Finally, he finishes and hands Leo the bowl of ashy water, smirking. Young Master Leo, this holy spirit water was specially brewed just for you. Chug it down to ward off all evil and sickness. Leo takes the bowl, bringing it right up to his lips. Evelyn, Khloe, and Mason stare at him with bated breath, their eyes totally wide with pure anticipation. Castor watches closely as Leo tilts the dirty bowl toward his throat. Gulp, they finally exhale, but trust me, their relief lasts for exactly 1 single second. Suddenly, Leo drops the bowl. It shatters across the marble floor. He clutches his stomach, collapsing hard. He starts writhing in absolute agony, screaming bloody murder. Evelyn leaps up in total shock, her face completely draining of color. She totally paid Castor to slip him a mild neurosuppressant to keep him docile and sluggish, not actually poison him. She glares at Castor, violently trembling with rage. The guy is equally panicked. He only used a basic sedative. Why is Leo having a seemingly lethal reaction? Was the drug expired? While they stand there panicking, our guy suddenly springs right up, still clutching his stomach, and sprints into the first floor bathroom. Everyone just exhales. Oh, it just causes diarrhea. Little do they know, Leo has not swallowed a single drop. He faked that entire scene. Once inside the bathroom, he gets right to work. Few minutes later, he emerges quietly, carrying a massive plastic basin that is filled with an ungodly, diluted yellow cocktail of toilet water and straight-up waste. He creeps right back into the living room. Evelyn, Castor, Mason, and Khloe are all happily chatting away, totally unaware of his sneaky return. Without a second thought, Leo hurls the basin forward. Splash! That cursed yellow biohazard soup just completely drenches all four of them from head to toe. A nauseating, gag-inducing stench instantly fills the air. They freeze for a split second before the horrible smell registers. What is this? They shriek, immediately pinching their noses. They look down at the chunky yellow liquid clinging to their expensive clothes and hair. Evelyn, having experienced a similar trauma recently, recognizes it instantly. Her face immediately turns completely chalk white. It is literally waste. All four of them violently gag, stomachs doing absolute backflips. Leo stands at a safe distance, laughing like a maniac. Why are you guys mad? He is just looking out for them. Master Castor made this holy spirit water especially for him, but our main character didn't want to hog those blessings. He had to share the wealth. Look at him sharing this fortune with his family. Where is his thank you? 4 pairs of absolutely murderous eyes glared right at him. Evelyn opened her mouth, but the second she did, that foul yellow liquid dripped straight from her hair and landed right on her lips. Her eyes crossed. She turned and violently vomited all over the expensive rug. Mason, Khloe, and Castor simply couldn't handle it anymore, pinching their noses in disgust. The three of them scattered like roaches. Mason and Khloe bolted upstairs to their private bathrooms. Castor, however, having no assigned room, sprinted right toward the first-floor guest bathroom. He quickly rushed in, completely unaware that Leo was already prepared. The second he stepped inside, Leo slammed the door shut and jammed a heavy wooden mop handle through the exterior door handles, trapping the scammer inside. Then Leo grabbed his phone and dialed 911. Hello, police. Someone just broke into my house and tried poisoning me with fake drugs. Hearing Leo call the cops, Castor panicked and he frantically pushed against the door, but that mop handle held firm. Young Master Leo, he cried out from inside, please let me out. I should not have listened to Madame Evelyn and tried drugging you. Leo just leaned against the wall, casually Scrolling on his phone, drug me, Master Caster, didn't you say it was holy? Spirit water, if it is just holy water, why panic? Just explain it all. To the police, you hurt nobody, right? From inside, Caster started weeping in pure despair. Leo, please, it was not holy water, just dirty water mixed with paper ashes. It wouldn't hurt you. Do I look like an idiot? Leo scoffed. Soon, police sirens wailed outside. Watch this. Leo ran out, leading 2 officers. Right into the living room, he pointed to the bathroom. Officer, the suspect is trapped in there. He handed them a plastic bag containing a sample of the drugged water he had secretly scooped up before dumping the bowl. Here is the poisoned water he tried force-feeding me. Test it. The officers took the evidence. With grave expressions, they unjammed the heavy door and dragged the completely miserable, foul-smelling Master Caster out. Despite him being covered in that biohazard soup, the cops professionally cuffed him. God bless the police force, Leo thought, and as they turned to leave, he asked innocently, Officer, what about my mom? She hired him. She is an accomplice. Aren't you arresting her too? The 2 officers exchanged looks, definitely never having dealt with a kid trying to arrest his very own mother. Leo, based on your statement, your mom might have been victim of fraud herself. We will take him in for interrogation. If your mother was truly scammed, she won't face charges if she cooperates. Leo dramatically sighed in heavy disappointment. He really wanted to see Evelyn in cuffs, but she got incredibly lucky today. Right on cue, Evelyn marched downstairs. She had showered, changed into fresh clothes, and fixed her makeup. Spotting him, she was ready to march over and rip his head right off. But then she saw the police escorting Master Caster out the door. She froze, panic in her eyes. Leo, did you call the cops? She asked, her voice absolutely trembling. Yep. Leo smiled coldly. Scammers who sell fake drugs belong behind bars. Otherwise, they will just keep on hurting innocent people. Right, Mom? He locked eyes with her. Every single parasite eventually gets exactly what is coming to them. Evelyn shook with rage, face twisting, but she didn't dare say a word with the cops right there. She quickly turned back upstairs. Phew, it reeks. Leo yelled right after her. Mom, you still smell like a sewer. Evelyn missed a step and almost tumbled down the stairs, watching her humiliating retreat. Leo just burst out laughing. 2 days later, the police lab results returned. That holy water, packed with a dangerous, permanent neurotoxin designed to wreck motor skills and brain function. Basically, a brutal drug meant to make someone permanently slow and obedient. But unfortunately, Evelyn walked away totally clean. The cops actually concluded she genuinely believed she was buying a spiritual blessing and was completely unaware of the drugs. However, she did not escape entirely unpunished. When Arthur found out, he was absolutely furious at her pure stupidity. But to protect the family face, he dropped the charges. Instead, Arthur claimed he needed space and moved to a hotel for a few days. In reality, everybody knew the actual truth. No matter how many times Evelyn showered, Arthur swore he could still smell that biohazard soup on her. It literally made him want to vomit. Evelyn hated Leo with a burning passion. Saturday rolled around. The Lancaster corporate gala was set for 3 p.m. Arthur, just keeping up appearances, returned to the mansion, but the second he walked in, he kept a 10-foot distance from Evelyn, sitting on the farthest sofa and occasionally just wrinkling his nose. Evelyn was absolutely furious but could not say anything. Suddenly, a loud, obnoxious voice echoed through the entryway. Sis, brother-in-law, I am here. In walked this sleazy, arrogant guy with heavy dark circles under his eyes and a weak, sickly posture. It was Evelyn's younger brother, Uncle